Do we think Iran will retaliate? I don't know. I don't know. I like under normal circumstances, yes. If they even care to beat Iran going forward, they have to. But given what they've done in the past, their retaliation always has been, including the tit for tat between Israel and Iran. Dude, you were so wrong. What do you mean? U.S. is briefing troops that Iran will likely retaliate. U.S. military is now briefing troops that its strike on Iran will likely result in counterstrikes on U.S. bases and facilities in the Middle East and likely activate Iran and other foreign organizations themselves abroad, including the U.S., to conduct strikes against U.S. persons and facilities, according to briefing I obtained. Of course. I mean, that's what they're anticipating, by the way. It might not happen. Remember.
3 o'clock in the morning here in Tel Aviv. We got word. I'm joined again by Brett McGurk. Brett, just in terms of concern about U.S. forces in the region, other potential targets from Iran or their proxies, what kind of precautions do you think the U.S. has already begun to take, or would the U.S. have begun to take in order to prepare, in order to protect their forces?
I think, Anderson, we have been for the last 8 days moving personnel, hardening positions, making sure air defense is in. So that has been ongoing. We've been seeing it, particularly movement from some of those facilities in the Gulf states, moving into Saudi Arabia, a little more inland. So that has been ongoing. We have in Iraq and Syria, probably it goes up and down a little bit, probably about 1,200 troops or so at positions that can be vulnerable. I have to say, though, I want to remind everybody and the viewers, after October 7th, those positions all came under attack almost every single day by Iranian-backed militias. And 3 Americans were killed at a facility in Jordan. So these militias have attacked us, and it stopped. We got a ceasefire because we did a number of things to deter further attacks. But the point, we know how to deal with that. It's a risk, but it's not a new risk. I think the challenge of Iran's missile program to some of our facilities in the Gulf is real, but the Israelis have been going after those missiles in a systematic way.
Dude,
I would not discount or understate the risk at all.
Bro, go work in Israel, bro. Go live in Israel. Why are you here? Why are all of these people here? You can live there. Israel loves white guys. They love them so much they let every Russian on the planet become Israelis, okay? Why don't these guys just go live there? Why do they live here? Why do these guys live here and act like they are living in Tel Aviv? Why do they care about the interests of Israel more than they care about the interests of America? Get the out of my country, dude. What the is going on? What do you mean? What is this? Oh, dude, this is a really important thing that we're doing here. Like, dude, I'm telling you, American foreign policy and Israel's involvement in American foreign policy is one direction, okay? They are aligned. This much is true. But the reality that Israel gets to call the shots in any capacity is so insane to me.
Now, that's very good. So preparations have been underway, but this is extremely serious. I'm sure our intelligence community is doing everything to see what Iran might have in mind. And whether Iran, given their disarray, can really muster any sort of an effective response. And the hope, I know, in the administration here is that the diplomacy and making clear to Iran that, don't think about it, this can be it, prevails. That would not be unprecedented. I have to say something, Anderson. This event we're seeing right now, totally unprecedented. But last October, Israel launched an air attack into Iran after they were attacked by ballistic missiles. That had never been done before. An overt air attack, Israel attacked Iran. The assumption was Iran would massively respond, and they didn't. A couple other things, Anderson, to keep in mind. All presidents they're experienced, determined decision making. President Trump did the strike against Qasem Soleimani in January of 2020, and the response was not insignificant. About 15 ballistic missiles were fired at an American base.
I told you they would use Qasem Soleimani. Did I not tell you that every single person, Brett McGurk obviously is not in Trump's ear because he was Biden's guy, but they are uniparty, so it doesn't matter. I told you that they would use Qasem Soleimani's retaliation from Iran as a reason to quiet Trump
kind of
down if he were to be like, oh, what if war breaks out? Then they probably told his stupid ass that remember when nothing happened after Qasem Soleimani's assassination? Don't worry, these Iranians are servile. They won't do anything. So now that's the best possible outcome here. The best possible outcome here for global stability, I guess, is if Iran doesn't retaliate. If Iran doesn't retaliate and then they're just like a failed state from this point on. Following the United States attack on Iran, the Home Front Command is changing the guidelines back to the most stringent. Breaking, Qom Province Crisis Management spokesperson, hours ago, after Qom's air defense activated and identified hostile targets, part of the Fordow nuclear site was subjected to enemy aerial aggression. These are a few pieces that we know of what might have happened in Fordow. They still are showing the Fordow strike target. Oh my God. They're literally, they love this. They love this satellite imagery, dude. They nut to it. They jerked off to it for literally the past week and a half. Look at that. Look. It's just so strikeable. It's just looking. Look at what it's wearing. Look at what Fordow is wearing. It just looks so submissive and so ready for a strike.
Effectively eliminated many of the people who would be involved in any kind of response of proxy forces, correct?
Yes. As a military tactical campaign, this Israeli campaign over the last 9 days has been incredibly effective. That's tactical. Does it lead to the strategic effect you want of Iran no longer having their enrichment program by which they might be able to produce a weapon? Still remains to be seen. I think the odds of that after the American strikes tonight are very high. But, Israel's campaign the last 9 days also completely unprecedented. I think if you asked anyone who follows the Middle East years ago, what would Iran do if Israel launched a massive military and intelligence
watching Iranian state news? I don't know how much stock you can put into what's being said right now, but they largely seem unfazed because they insist their key nuclear assets were moved out of facilities that were attacked.
Major regional
I know they said that already. I know they said that a couple days ago. They said that they had already, before even the new agreement started, that they would move the enriched uranium that they already had to different places, like to secret locations. So I don't think they have it there. I don't think they're bluffing. No. That part is not a bluff. I don't think that part is a bluff. But it still doesn't matter. This is a violation of the fucking country's sovereignty, man. What are we talking about? This is America entering the war directly. I suspect that the reason why they're talking about how unfazed they are is because this might show that their response will be relatively restrained again, and then they'll just slowly but surely, death by 1,000 cuts, get destroyed. It's over.
Leader could say, "I have to drink from the poison chalice and give up the program." Here, that choice has been made for him, and how he responds.
Shut the up! Oh my God. U.S. President Donald Trump tells me in a phone call, "We had a great success tonight. Your Israel is much safer now." Oh my God. Donald Trump literally calling Barack Ravid directly, "Your Israel is much safer tonight." Yeah, Trump posts after Soleimani strike on January 3rd, 2020. There it is. Trump posts an American flag. Why doesn't Donald Trump go live there, dude? Oh, that's right, because they don't have enough, gay activities that he likes, like Broadway shows, and enough interest in churning out good art. Is that why you don't want to listen to Psytrance every day, Donald Trump? Go live in Israel. Why the fuck are you the president of America? The Atomic Energy Organization of Iran rarely tweets in English, yet its recent English posts center on condemning the International Atomic Energy Agency, signaling that Tehran may be gearing up to pull out of its safeguards agreement with the IAEA. Our facilities have been attacked. Why has the International Atomic Energy Agency remained silent? If these attacks are not condemned, the consequences of our decisions will directly fall upon the International Atomic Energy Agency. We no longer trust the IAEA or its inspection regime. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. They're not wrong. That's not a wrong statement. New reporting from CNN. Trump hopes strikes prompt new diplomacy and isn't currently planning on additional. Dude, we are a delusional country. We are actually a delusional country. Iran confirms via drop site. Spokesperson, here's the first confirmation from Iranian officials on the strikes. Spokesperson for Qom Provincial Crisis Management Headquarters. A few hours ago, the Qom air defenses were activated and hostile targets were identified. Part of the Fort Al-Site area was attacked by enemy airstrikes. Do we think Iran will retaliate? I don't know. I don't know. Like, under normal circumstances, yes. If they even care to be Iran going forward, they have to. But given what they've done in the past, their retaliation always has been, including the tit for tat between Israel and Iran this past week, has always been so restrained that that I don't know if they will do the option, which is not nukes, obviously. The option in this circumstance would be lighting the Gulf's oil refineries on fire, mining the Strait of Hormuz, and starting a untold barrage, a previously unforeseeable barrage of ballistic missile fires at all American assets in the region, while simultaneously getting Hezbollah to strike Israel now that Israel's air defenses have been depleted, seemingly, considering that even much slower drones were able to penetrate the Israeli Iron Dome, getting Yemen to also strike American assets in the region on the other side, while getting Hezbollah to strike into Israel would be the option. I don't think that they're going to do that. We shall see. But if they were to even entertain a fraction of what I'm talking about, gas is going to be $1 million. Okay? U.S. briefing troops to expect counterstrikes in the region. I know. But if the counterstrikes in the region are limited, like after the Qasem Soleimani assassination from Trump, then it's not that significant. WWE has an event in Riyadh next Saturday. Would blowing up John Cena be seen as a big enough strike on America? I don't know what this will look like. Yeah, if Iran doesn't retaliate, they're just basically telling the world that they're totally chill with what's going on and are basically conceding they don't have sovereignty anymore. It's dire. Yeah, it's basically saying we don't have any anti-air defenses. We don't have any control over our own airspace. We have no control over, we have no protection. You can come in and you can us as hard as you want. Good luck. GG's, you know, well played. GGWP. That is it's, if Iran doesn't retaliate in this circumstance, or even if it retaliates, there still might be a decapitation strike. Okay? If that is imminent, then at that point, it's like, do you want to maintain some semblance of a state, which then you go into long and extended conflict with the United States of America, which is all but surely going to end the American empire if there was like boots on the ground military warfare. Someone said MAGA would instinctively fall in line, and they are. Matt Gates, President Trump basically wants this to be like the Soleimani strike, one and done, no regime change war, Trump the peacemaker. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Good call not going to Bureau card in hindsight, lol. I mean, I wasn't invited. They know I'd be whipping ass. Bernie's live response. Yeah, they're too scared of me over there. They know I'm too much of a good gamer. Don't worry, Dems will follow suit. Iranian officials cited by Fars news agency witnessed attacks near Isfahan and Natanz facilities. Trump wants Iran to attack U.S. so we can stand in front of Congress and demand troops. Is fascism, y'all. Chatter, I'm going to keep it $150 with you. There is no Congress. Okay? Wake up. The only thing Congress is good for is cutting taxes. That's it. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's it. There is no Congress. This is an illegal act. This is an unconstitutional act. I mean, it was an unconstitutional act when every other president did it to Yemen. Make no mistake. That was also unconstitutional. But there is no Congress. There is nothing. This is one man's show. I don't even know if it would be, I mean, I guess the major difference would be Democrats probably playing it by the book. Still, the actions would remain the same, but they probably try to play it as by the book as possible. And the messaging around this would be definitely a lot more airtight. You know, you would hear Brett McGurk say the exact same things, for the record, on CNN. He would be saying the exact same things that he's saying right now, but that would be the domineering narrative. New York Times is salivating. I know. U.S. enters war against Iran. They're so horny. Yeah, I already hit up Sammy when I go to New York to hang out with him, potentially. I just texted Bannon how he knew so far in advance about the in Iran, and he said the party is on. He was at the White House on Thursday for lunch with the president, which suggests a coordinated front to get MAGA on board. Bernie Sanders found out mid-rally about the strike.
This is a statement from Donald Trump. Quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 sites in Iran," etc. I agree. And I want to tell you something. Not only is this news that I've just heard, the second alarming that all of you have just heard, but it is so grossly unconstitutional. All of you know that the only entity that can take this country to war is the U.S. Congress. The president does not have the right.
Person from Brazil here. We've been enjoying football World Cup for clubs that's happening over in there in the U.S. Most people in the whole world are watching that while Donald idiotic Trump takes your country yet to another war your own country has started. This shit is ridiculous. The whole world is tired. How do you let it happen over and over again, decade after decade? Because it is not a real democracy. We are not living in a real democracy. Your voices and your opinions do not matter. Real democracy is only as real democracy is simply aesthetic. Okay, most countries do not have what people read in books and understand as theoretical democracy. We don't have it here. You probably have something maybe closer to it, I guess, in Brazil, but not necessarily a real theoretical democracy. We've declared to the rest of the world that every Palestinian, Gaza, and the West Bank, U.S. diplomatic capabilities, Bill of Rights, potential nuclear catastrophe, and now Iran are all worthwhile sacrifices for the... Okay. Israel is mini America. That is true. Sean Hannity reports 6 bunker bustings were dropped on Fordow from U.S. Air Force B-2. Isfahan and Natanz. Felix Biederman is Jewish, for chatters who don't know. Isfahan and Natanz targeted with Tomahawk cruise missiles from submarines. Straight out of Top Gun Maverick. Hot damn. Fuck, man. Should I quit my job or what? I don't know. I'll tell you maybe in a couple hours, if not in a couple days. Because while this was telegraphed ahead of time, I kept repeating over and over again that it is all a matter of how Iran responds. If Iran, which is well within their rights, attacks American positions in the region, because there are so many bases, and those bases are not as protected as Israel, because remember, M is real high, of course. M is real high, M is real high, 10 times, maybe 20 times. Please, you know, of course. They do not have the same level of protection. Those bases do not have the same protection that Israel does, because all of our money and all of our air defenses are base boosting Israel right now, so they can do that in Gaza. And they can siege and occupy further Syrian territory, maybe even fight with Turkey along the way, which is a NATO ally and working at the behest of America to begin with. And also simultaneously, you know, take some of this additional conflict to Iran as well. A U.S. official says that multiple 30K pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators were dropped on Iran's Fordow nuclear enrichment facility. The facility has been taken off the table, according to the New York Times. U.S. informed Iran before the strike. CBS News, U.S. reached out to Iran diplomatically Saturday to say the strikes are all the U.S. plans and that regime efforts are not planned. Why would anybody believe that? Why would Iran, if you believe that, if you're an Iranian diplomat, or an Iranian, if you're a member of the IRGC, if you're the Ayatollah, and you believe that even for a second, then you're the dumbest person on the planet. Threatening messages towards U.S. have started to air on Iranian TV, according to the New York Times. Oh my God. I can't believe they're making threatening messages. A news anchor said on Iranian state television, Mr. Trump, you started it and we will end it. The broadcast showed a large graphic of American bases in the Middle East with the headline, within the firing range of Iran. The anchor said the United States had no legitimate place in the region. I mean, that was true before they started the nuclear facilities. I hate to say that this is yet another thing that I told you. There was much hay made about how, is this disrupting the MAGA base? What does America first mean? This is what America first means. Nick Mullen was right, okay? When he said, Patriots, get ready to suck Trump's dick and get ready to eat his cum and also maybe let him bust in your ass. By God, this American patriot is ready to do so. This is what that means, okay? This is what that fucking means. That's what America first is. I didn't say that. Nick Mullen did. Get mad at him. I can't believe I said all that with 88,000 people watching, but it's true. I'm sorry to all the family members that you, for the first time ever, tuned in to watch your favorite political commentator. It had to be said. I'm hearing a lot of name calling in the chat, but no one's calling me a liar. Okay? That was someone's first impression of you? Good. Yeah. These guys are ready to fillet him harder than Melania ever did, okay? Yeah, here is him 4 days ago. 60% don't want America involved in war with Iran. Repeat of 2003? No, it's worse. As everything has gotten worse for the past multiple decades at this point in America, even America's war fighting has gotten worse. Even the machine that is supposed to manufacture consent has gotten worse. That's precisely why when after 9/11, when America talked about invading Iraq for no reason and then lying about them having weapons of mass destruction, it was that campaign of lies was infinitely more sophisticated than what the Trump administration did. The Trump administration didn't even go to the UN with a respectable figurehead that is trusted by international resources like Colin Powell and hold up like a vial and be like, this is terrifying. They didn't do any like Senate hearings about how our intelligence assessment shows that, you know, Iran has weapons of mass destruction. They did the opposite. Tulsi Gabbard came out and was like, yeah, our intelligence community's assessment is that Iran does not have any new enrichment interest or capabilities, basically. And then they didn't even try. They basically were like, no, we're going to Iran because Israel wants us to do so. And we love Israel. We hate you. We hate you. Americans, we hate you. We love Israel. We will do what Israel says we will do. Okay. They are the brave war fighters in the region. They know best. Miriam Adelson gave me $150 million. Okay. The very same Miriam Adelson who made a brilliant decision to trade Luka to the Lakers. Now I'm a fan of LeBron James. Okay. Not to sidestep too much away from this conversation. So I don't mind it. But if you're a Dallas Maverick and you still think Israel is a valid state and you're not demanding to dismantle it, okay, remember Miriam Adelson, #1 Trump donor after Elon Musk, did that Luka trade. Why did she do it? Because she wanted to move the Dallas Mavericks to Las Vegas. Miriam Adelson, wife of former Jabba the Hutt, Sheldon Adelson, who's dead now, rest in piss, is a casino magnate. And because they would not let her put casinos in Texas, she said, I'm going to tank your franchise team and I'm going to move that franchise team that I bought from Mark Cuban, another asshole billionaire, and move it to Las Vegas. Now, remember that. Okay, remember that. If you don't care about Israel sending your friends to potentially go and die to Shahed drones, striking them in the dome because, you know, that had to be done so that we can, I don't know, advance America's interests, advance Israel's interests in the region. Get mad because Miriam Adelson wanted that to happen, gave Trump $150 million fucking dollars to make sure that that happens. And Trump said, yes, ma'am, I love you. I will, of course, do your bidding. I will, of course, hold out Benjamin Netanyahu's seat. and push it in when he comes and visits. I will give him a standing ovation. Sky News 3 minutes ago. Trump says Iran will get hit again if it doesn't make peace immediately. What peace? Has there been a moment of respite for Iran since Israel decided the nuclear agreement? We're just going to mute instead. What do you mean? There are obviously lots of factors that contribute to our horrible glib media coverage, but a major one is that most of our pundits and anchors view droppings on brown and black people as a game. They have fully dehumanized most of the world before they even get the job. Glad to see Brian Stelter thinks this is hilarious. Oh, it's just like Top Gun, dude. Yeah, you want to know why he's saying that? Because his son or his nephew is not in the military, okay? Because it's going to turn into ratings for him. That's what he cares about. He cares that he's going to get eyeballs and attention. The media is going to be relevant again. You know what I mean? He doesn't care about all the Iranian people that are probably going to die as a consequence of this. Oh.
And welcome to Hannity. We begin tonight with...
Also, the fact that they're like leaking information about the historic event that just took place to Sean Hannity is yet another indication of the collapse of America. Okay? What is this? So do you? Are you trying to say so you don't? Or mean so do you? I'm not going to die for this country? No, I'm not going to die for this country. And let me tell you something, okay? At least I'm also advocating to make sure you don't die for this country, okay? That's the difference between me and Brian Stelter.
With this Fox News alert, I just spoke to the President of the United States. I have some new information and breaking details to share about tonight's what is historic air campaign. Now, tonight, Iran's nuclear ambitions, they are officially dead. It appears the United States just completely obliterated Iran's top secret Fordow nuclear facility with 6 huge
Would you die for Turkey?
Buster
No.
bombs. It was originally speculated that you would only
Stupid.
need 2. It turns out they used 5 to 6, dropped from America's stealth B-2 bombers. And that's not all. 2 other major Iranian nuclear sites, Natanz and Esfahan, were wiped out with 30 Tomahawk missiles launched by American submarines some 400 miles away. Everyone is out of harm's way for now. That does not mean that American assets in the region are not at risk. And
Al-Mayadeen Live says Iran advises the Iranian Parliament Speaker Mehdi Mohammadi the 3 nuclear sites were not irreparably damaged in the U.S. attack. Now, when Iran says shit like that, instead of screaming bloody murder, that means that their response is going to be incredibly limited, perhaps. But that also means that this continues. Like they're gonna America, and more importantly, Israel, especially Israel, not even America. Israel only responds to retaliation in kind. That is the only language that they speak. Okay? And if it's not punishing enough for Israeli society, it's not disruptive enough, they're going to keep going. And so is America. White House monitoring possible Iranian sleeper cells in the U.S. My story. Oh, great. Oh, great. Oh, get ready for the anthrax shit again. Maybe they'll run that back too. They ran the WMD nonsense. Maybe they'll do the anthrax attacks are happening all around the country so that they can universalize the paranoia a little bit because the American population doesn't have the healthy appetite to go to war with Iran. Yeah, time for some false flags. Iranian state TV, every American citizen or military in the region is now a target. Yeah, we're not going to get drafted. We're going to go to jail for being conscientious objectors and people who protest this war. Trump now called Netanyahu. White House official, President Trump spoke by phone with Prime Minister Netanyahu after the U.S. attack on Iran. Of course, you got to call Big Papa. You got to call Big Papa. You got to be like, Big Papa, did I do it right? Did I do it good, Big Papa? Trump is now calling Reuters. Trump to Reuters in brief phone interview. This was an amazing success tonight. Trump, they should make peace immediately. Trump, they should stop immediately. Otherwise, they'll get hit again. They know most Americans suspect none of this is defensive or are checked out, so this non-story makes everything an episode of 24 and sows the requisite panic and racism. As you know, of course, the obsession with sleeper cells and the reason why the FBI and White House have been pushing this talking point out nonstop is it brings the war home and reinforces the false narrative that Iran is a threat to Americans. It's threat level orange schlock for lazy reporters. That's all this is, for the record. That is all this is. God, American society is about to get so much dumber. I mean, we were already at maximum stupidity and maximum racism. Get ready. It is about to be a roller coaster. Oh, yeah. Countdown to the anti-Islamic crackdown in the U.S. There's that. Islamophobic hate crimes. War finna turn me trans. No trans in the military. No, I mean, I joked about that the other day, but like low key, you know, get the medical reports ready. We're all non-Bidenary now. A wave. U.S. President Donald J. Trump is hopeful. Okay, we covered that already. I can't tell what Iran's response is going to be to this, because if it's like Qasem Soleimani, they just like blow up a couple American bases, maybe kill a couple troops, and then they pack it up, and then they push the can of destabilization down the line, maybe like a couple months. But if there's like severe escalation, I don't know. Who knows where that goes? Yeah. Look at that. March 26, 2003. This war will destabilize the entire Middle East region and set off a global shockwave of anti-Americanism. Add also anti-Semitism to that too, for the record. This time, at least we've added a new ally to the anti-sentiment, because it won't just stay at anti-Americanism. It's gonna be a lot of gonna be a ton of anti-Semitism as well. Versus no, it won't. And part of that is because they weren't even airtight. They didn't even justify. They didn't even find like a casus belli. They just straight up were like, no, we're doing this for Israel. After spending the last year and a half being like, Israel is the Jewish nation state, and if they don't, if you say that they shouldn't kill children, you're an anti-Semite. You're a Jew hater. We should throw you in jail. What the fuck are America's gonna think after all of this? The Islamophobia is going to explode as well, of course. I'm just reporting on what I suspect will happen with anti-Semitism, because, like, you know, the institutional control over that form of bigotry will probably be woefully inept at dealing with the sea with the wave of anti-Semitism exploding in the country. So yeah. You know, welcome to where we've been.
Will on smaller ones, largely because for the smaller ones, the stakes are existential. If this were a one and done exercise, 3 successful strikes against Fordo is fine.
Do you think Obama is?
And untouched, particularly Isfahan, by the way. People aren't paying attention to the fact that they're...
Chatters, Iran does not have a capability of hitting U.S. They don't have any ballistic missiles that can reach the United States. Why do you think we're such a violent, belligerent nation? It is because we are sheltered by proximity, okay? At most, they could do like, I don't know, like a terror attack, but I feel like they're a little bit busy right now to implement a successful terror attack on U.S. soil. They got their hands full, you know what I mean? There are also 40,000 American troops right at the ass cheeks of Iran right now in perfect striking distance. So I think there's plenty of Americans that they could kill in the immediate vicinity, if they have even the capability to do so, or even if they have the interest in doing so. Well said, Mud Slime at Hasanabi. Is Mud Slime like a Islamophobic take? Is that what is this like a new thing I haven't heard before? Like, is that a different way of saying Muslim? Is that a slur? Damn, I'd never heard that one before. And I hear I hear crazy shit all the time. That's a new one for me. New slur unlocked. New old slur. He's picking up the phone for everybody. Jonathan Karl, ABC News chief Washington correspondent. I called President Trump about 10 minutes ago. He didn't talk details or next steps, but he wanted to say this. Tremendous success tonight. Careful, you're going to be banned for showing slurs. I think this person is probably going to be banned, not me. Uh-oh. I knew the gray bar was coming. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Yeah, this was the leader of the Senate Democrats. He got his wishes, though. If Taco Trump is already folding on Iran, the American people need to know about it. No side deals. That's what, remember when Chuck Schumer a few weeks ago came out with this blistering criticism? Do you think there will be a Chinese response to this? I think if there was any sort of Chinese intervention, this would not have happened. That's what I think.
Have we really accomplished? You've bought time, probably a lot of time, but the story's far from over.
I want to go to Jim Sciutto, who's been looking into measures to protect U.S. forces in the region. Jim?
Anderson, I'm told that U.S. forces in the region, quite understandably, were advised to take shelter until it was clear that there was no immediate Iranian response. They will then remain on high alert for some time because, of course, that response could come at any time, even if it's not in the minutes or hours right after the attack. That's an understandable step to take and one that would have happened in advance of these attacks. When we have seen attacks in the past, for instance, the killing of Soleimani in Trump's first term, there were Iranian responses specifically targeting U.S. forces in the region.
Yeah,
those
this is
US
the other
forces
side of this, by the way.
were impacted.
Trita Parsi's analysis is correct. He's from Quincy Institute. Trump just guaranteed that Iran will be a nuclear weapons state in the next 5 to 10 years, particularly if the regime changes. Definitely. The real fear is if Iran retaliates in kind, okay, and launches a brutal counterattack. I don't even know if they have the capacity to do so, to be fair. But let's say they did. Right? And in the process, America engages in a decapitation strike. America engages in a decapitation strike alongside Israel. They kill the Iranian leadership. What comes next is going to be a torrent of violence, like Iraqi Shias revolting, Hezbollah with whatever capabilities they have, launching as many attacks as possible. The reason why I say this is because power vacuums is what creates militancy like ISIS. Okay, this is what happened in Iraq. This is what happened in Libya. Open air slave markets. What people fail to comprehend is that the Iranian Ayatollah, the Islamic Republic, is the only diplomatic outcome here. They are the ones who were demonstrating restraint. They were the ones who were willing to do diplomacy. They were the ones who were willing to play ball with the West, to a detriment, mind you. And this attack shows that. You need to understand, they are a centralized force. When Trump says, we know where you are, we can kill you at a moment's notice, the thing that stops America and Israel from killing Ayatollah Khamenei is not because like they're afraid or something. They're like afraid of like the retaliation or because they simply can't find him. His bunker is too powerful or whatever. No, they could kill him at a moment's notice if they wanted to. Trump is right when he says that. The reason why they don't do that is because they're calculating what the best possible day after is for Iran. So even at a certain point, the American leadership also understands that if they were to kill the most restrained version of Iranian leadership, what comes after is going to be significantly more invested in punishing every other regional operative. No more restraint. Sure, it actually cripples the logistics for all of the axis of resistance states in the region, but they're already getting some help from China, like Yemen is getting help from China. You have to understand, like, they're no longer going to hold back at all, and they will be uncontrollable.
Sites over the course of the last week.
Particularly in terms of whether there's any fallout from this, because that's the other thing we're not even discussing here. 3 nuclear sites were bombed today with huge, powerful, forceful
never used.
bunker bombs.
I mean, the bunker bombs never used before, so we have never seen this before. No one has.
No one's seen it, and so we don't have a sense yet of what the fallout will be, nor what the strategic success will be.
Here, let's hear what Donald Trump had to say. What was perhaps one of the most powerful statements he made on the campaign trail that was definitely different from the rest of the Republicans the first time he ran.
The war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
But so you still think he should be impeached? I think
it's my turn, isn't it?
You do whatever you want. You call it whatever you want. I want to tell you, they lied. Okay. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no.
He didn't change, for the record. He did not, like, you know, people are like, oh, he was way more fiery. No, he's just lying back then, too. Guys, what are you talking about? He was president for 4 years after this, and he continued destabilizing the region. What do you mean? Why do you think I kept saying Donald Trump is not a peaceful dove? I cannot believe the Democrats are literally conceding territory to Donald Trump last election cycle to rerun the peaceful dove narrative once again, because Joe Biden is doing an unlimited genocide campaign for Israel. He is going to be just as bad, if not worse, than the Harris administration and the Biden administration that was currently doing the unlimited child holocaust in Gaza. It's not like we didn't know. The problem is the Democrats are so also invested in unlimited war. They're such annoying war hawks that Trump was able to lie again a second time around and present himself once again as a peaceful dove. Oh.
No weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
Yes, I'm going to be covering Trump's speech in 26 minutes or whenever he goes live. Oh, yeah. Iran is saying that the impacts are overblown, signals that they might not be as violent in retaliation. Fartux Network, Meteostat 9 detected a flash over the Fort-hour enrichment plant. The event registered at 3.90 micrometers and was visible on nighttime microphysics scans. The location aligns with the SAT with the salt plain east of Fordow. That's it? That sounds so crazy. That looks like a little baby. I don't understand. I mean, I don't know what it's supposed to look like.
While this communication lasts, I'm wondering, are you seeing anything, are you hearing anything new on the ground there in Tehran?
Hi there, Anderson. Yeah, I'm outside right now here in Tehran. The skies here are actually pretty quiet, but as we've been saying before, there was a lot of air defense activity going on here in Tehran over the course of the night. And there are, of course, now several Iranian regional officials who are now confirming that strikes seem to have taken place on the area of at least two of these nuclear facilities that we've been talking about, specifically in the Qom region. The Qom region is south of Tehran. It's where the Fordow nuclear site is located. And a regional official there was saying that a few hours ago, obviously that was in the middle of the night here in Iran.
That's true. The explosion is it penetrates first, and then the explosion is delayed. I forgot the GBU-57. So the impact is like hard to, but I still assume that it, like, if it blows up in the nuclear facility, there'd be, we would probably see something more, right?
Air forces. So that's what a regional official there is saying. But when they talk about air defenses being activated, some of them are sort of short-range air defenses. One of the things that we've been seeing here, especially over Tehran, as the night's been going on, but also in the past couple of nights, a lot of those were anti-aircraft guns that were being activated. I've seen less anti-aircraft missiles being fired into the air, even though Iran certainly still does have that capability. Also, the Isfahan region is in central Iran, and that's actually where the Isfahan nuclear facility is located, but also where the Natanz nuclear facility is located as well. And there also a regional official is saying that they witnessed what they call intrusions near those nuclear facilities, obviously meaning intrusions into the airspace there, that then air defenses were also activated to confront hostile targets, as they put it, but that several explosions were heard in that facility, in those facilities as well. So the Iranians now having local officials confirming that explosions took place at those nuclear facilities here in Iran, but again, still trying to come to terms with what is going on there. Still very little information coming out, but certainly it does seem as though regional officials...
It looks like we lost that communication. We had a video actually from Fred Pleitgen before earlier this evening that we were going to show. I don't know if we have it ready right now, but let's get that because it does show what he's talking about. It was video I believe he shot, or his crew shot, from Tehran earlier in the evening. I'm not sure. I think it was around in the 9 o'clock or 9:30 time frame p.m. in Tehran, and you see some bursts in the air. You also just hear anti-aircraft fire, but it gives you a sense of sort of it's just anti-aircraft fire. It doesn't seem like it's a lot of interceptors, the type of which we see here in Tel Aviv and other cities in Israel, giving a sense of the level of air defenses that they still have left.
What the f did Hakeem Jeffrey say? Wait, hold on. Before I look at it, I'm assuming. Hold on. I'm not even looking. Okay. I'm gonna predict that he's going to say that this was illegal. This was illegal only because it was conducted unilaterally by the administration without getting congressional approval. And he might even heavily imply once again that he would have been on board with the attacks because Iran must not have a nuclear weapon and Israel has a right to defend itself. Let's see if I'm correct. Donald Trump promised to bring peace to the Middle East. He has failed to deliver on that promise. The risk of war has now dramatically increased. The risk of war? It's war, man. What do you mean the risk of war? We're in war. What? Okay, good start. And I pray for the safety of our troops in the region who are put in harm's way. President Trump misled. It's war. What do you mean our troops are put in harm's way? Donald Trump did an act of war against a sovereign state. That's like this is giving this brave Israeli hostage was kidnapped from a tank. Like they're soldiers in a military base that is now becoming an active zone of conflict. What do you mean? President Trump misled the country about his intentions, failed to seek congressional authorization for the use of military force, and risks. Oh my God! Again. Risks American entanglement in a potentially disastrous war in the Middle East. First, the Trump administration bears the heavy burden of explaining to the American people why this military action was undertaken. Second, Congress must be fully and immediately briefed in a classified setting. Third, Donald Trump shoulders complete and total responsibility for any adverse consequences that flow from his unilateral military action. Holy. Yeah, but he's no longer Taco Trump. Yeah, I don't care. I wanted him to be Taco Trump on this. I don't give a shit. What is this? A U.S. CH-47 Chinook helicopter was spotted flying over Aviv, reportedly conducting evacuations. I think a lot of people, their immediate fear in this is like, oh, we're going to war. Like, we're going to be unsafe. Like, Iran is going to nuke us or something. Iran does not have the actual targeting capabilities. Okay? Iran does not have, like, the ballistic missiles that they could launch at the United States of America. Okay? What you should be upset about and what you should be fearful about and what you should be gearing up for is that in spite our incredible proximity to all of the chaos that we create over there, the impact will be met with economic instability here, okay? The impact will be met when your family members that are in the military because they wanted to get a comms degree for free because we don't have free healthcare and we don't have free college education in this goddamn country are now possibly going to get their shit blown up. That is how you're going to feel the impact. Just as we did after 9/11, just as America experienced the impact for years. Okay? If you don't care about all of the potential Iranian civilian casualties in this process, because we just chose to destabilize a massive regional superpower, a massive regional power that has been around for a very long time. Mehdi Mohammadi, a senior advisor to Mohammad Ghalibaf, the speaker of the Iranian parliament. From Iran's perspective, nothing particularly surprising has happened. Iran has been expecting an attack on Fordow for several nights. The site was evacuated long ago and has not sustained any irreversible damage in the strike. Two things are certain. First, knowledge cannot be bombed. Second, this time, the gambler will lose. If we invade Iran but get universal healthcare, would that be okay? What are you talking about? The very fact that we're even talking about having a military capable of invading Iran, which, make no mistake, would be devastating for America as well as Iran, is the very fact that you will never have healthcare. There's an opportunity cost to having endless empire, okay? And that opportunity cost is you not getting healthcare. What did I just tell you? It serves two different purposes. One, you know, you don't get to have healthcare. It's private. You have to pay for it. That is great for the GDP, okay? Numbers on the board. But two, in order to get that healthcare, now you have to be a loyal servant of the Defense Department. You have to sell your soul to the Pentagon and hope that you don't get your shit blown up in the process so you can have a little bit of that free healthcare. Something that other countries give to their citizens unconditionally. Something that Israel, as a matter of fact, gives its citizens. Isn't that nice? Don't worry, Israel. We'll foot the bill. We'll keep shipping billions of dollars of weapons and anti-air defense systems so that you can be safe as you decide to launch an 8-front war while you're doing a genocide. And don't worry, you can have your health care, you can have free college, you know, W Israel. Sick. The president's disastrous decision to bomb Iran without authorization is a grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers. He has impulsively risked launching a war that they may ensnare us for generations. It is absolutely and clearly grounds for impeachment. At least you said it's grounds for impeachment. Like, the anti-war position here is supposed to be, why the are we going to war with Iran at the behest of Israel against the intelligence community's own assessment? The American intelligence community, which has never met a war it doesn't like, literally was saying, there's no reason to do this. There was a negotiation process taking place. According to sources, the VP, SecDef, and DNI advised against getting involved. Why have them if you're not going to listen to them? I suspect that might be, that's just probably speculation. Look, this is what I said. I said the U.S. attacked Iran's nuclear facilities while using a denuclearization negotiation as cover for Israel to implement a first strike because Israel lied about Iran having WMDs against our own intelligence community's assessment, all while talking about Iran's disinterest in diplomacy. And now you are watching every single one of these MAGA.
President Trump.
Of course he's doing it English. Oh, of course. Netanyahu thanks Trump after the Iran attacks. Of course, dude. Here's Trump's daddy. Let's hear what daddy has to say. Let's see what the real daddy has to say, okay? Let's see what the big dog has to say. Of course, he's delivering an English response, you know, for one man and one man only, really, when you think about it. This is not for the Americans listening. This is not for, this is certainly not for Israeli side, even though, like 75% of Israelis speak English. This is for one man, okay? This is for one man and one man only, okay? That man is Donald Trump. Let's hear what he had to say.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed.
I asked my hog brother. He said leaked intel showed Iran was 2 weeks from a nuke. U.S. and Israel already knew. He was against action 3 days ago. Now it makes sense. His wife has military ties. Here's inside chatter. Says China gave Iran weapons hoping they'd use them on us. Yet also doesn't want them to have nukes. Thoughts? No thoughts. I actually am going to, once I end the broadcast later tonight, bludgeon my head against the wall so I can be just as moronic as your dumb hog relative so that I can live a life of happiness and constantly have no thoughts up here and only just go by whatever the Trump is saying. Oh my God, it would be fantastic for my media career. Perhaps I could be just like Asmongold, okay? I'll just become a hog. I'll just go, yeah, base, this guy, yeah, chat. War with Iran, based.
It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond.
Literally, Yuba, okay. Come on, chatter. What kind of analysis have you gotten from any other outlet that literally told you down to the day that this was going to happen? Was there, I'm sorry, where were you getting your news from? Tell me about who your favorite newscaster was that was literally also openly explaining exactly the events that were going to unfold in the exact ways that it did. Go ahead. Holy, look how many Twitch badges this guy has. Jesus Christ, please get a life. Jesus, Lord mercy, never mind. Your account is freaking me out.
To a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
Senior White House official also confirms the White House gave a courtesy heads up on the Iran strike to congressional leadership. No, that's not true. I've heard very conflicting reports on this. I don't think that's real. First of all, you can't just give a heads up to Congress. Okay, you can't just be like, hey, by the way, heads up, we're going to war with Iran. That's not how this works. What do you mean? And secondly, I don't even know if that's the case because a lot of people have been saying that, no, they did not actually get a heads up at all. Initial Iranian reports claim the U.S. hit Fordow. Initial Iranian reports claim the U.S. hit Fordow with just 2 bombs at the entrance, not the massive 30,000-pound bombs. The bunker busters one's hype, potentially symbolic, and symbolic, not strategic. Fordow was reportedly evacuated, material moved. The real question now, how will Iran respond? Mike Pence, remember, we don't know the exact impact of this. We don't know the exact impact of this strike, okay? But if it's like a feint, if it's like a very, very limited strike, just to showcase American targeting capabilities, American air superiority, all this stuff, to try to bully the Iranian leadership into, I guess, like taking taking whatever deal that they will present, which is probably kill yourself with a gun, please, and then give the country over to the Shah. Every single person in American leadership is running around. Every single person in American leadership is currently running around and celebrating this shit, okay? They're running around and being like, thank God the president blew up Iran. This is sick. President Trump is going to be speaking in 8 minutes, and we'll hear what he has to say. Here's what Michael Penis said. U.S. House Speaker Mike Penis, the president made the right call and did what he needed to do. Leaders in Congress were aware of the urgency of the situation, and the commander-in-chief evaluated the imminent danger outweighed the time it would take for Congress to act. The world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, which chants death to America. Oh, my God. Still talking about death to America. I'm going to lose my mind. Brother, of course they say death to America. We've been to them over for the past 50 fucking years. Why wouldn't they say death to America? They, way before they said death to America, they tried to say, hey, we like America. Can you please help us? And then we did things over there that made them turn around and say, actually, never mind, death to America. This is really up. Yeah, of course they're going to say death to America. Look at Iran. Look at the situation they're in. Look at the situation they're in right now. Look at the past 70 years of intervention in the region. This is what I always tell chatters as well when they talk about this, okay? I say, you hate Iran, or our leadership hates Iran, okay? And they haven't even done anything. Iran has done nothing to any American, really. Like, at most, you can point to like proxy forces or some shit, okay? Whereas we have done a ton of awful violence and instability to Iran. Of course, they're going to say death to America. You say death to America, they haven't done shit to you. I mean, not death to America. You say death to Iran, and they haven't done shit to you. The hostage crisis. Yeah, I know. I wonder how that happened. How did that happen? Again, why would anybody like us? Why would anybody in the region like us. The Iran's regime is not to be defended. I don't give a about the Islamic Republic, you dumb. You are so goddamn stupid if you think that this is a defense of the non-secular or fundamentalist governance of the Islamic Republic. What the fuck are you talking about? In Georgia, the Republican administration forced a woman who had become a vegetable to carry a pregnancy to term. They literally cut her body and cut the fetus out of her body because the body was rotting. Do you think that this righteous cause for Iran to nuke Georgia? No, I don't. Do you? People do awful, nonsensical things to their own constituents all the time. This is not a good reason. It is not a good reason to bomb the country and destabilize it further. Half of the reason why these countries don't have the woke civil struggles that we have gone through, and then there's still a shit ton of issues here in America, is because we're constantly placing them in a state of panic. They're too worried about being exploded to actually go out and march on the streets and be like, hey, we want gay rights. It's the biggest lie that Americans have told other dumb Americans who love believing in it because they have to maintain a position of superiority. And it's oftentimes a lie that is told by people who are themselves conservative. That's why it's insane when Lindsey Graham, a closeted gay man, goes on Fox News and says, oh yeah, Iran, they throw gays off the roof, which is not even real for the record. Iran throws gays off the roof. It's like, bro, you're a homophobe. You're a closeted gay man who is a homophobic person. Like, what do you mean Iran throws gay people off the roof? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's insane. It's like conservatives hate brown people that are conservative. And they don't give a fuck about all the progressive brown people that die in the process. They hate brown conservatives for their conservatism. Look in a goddamn mirror. Why would you send me the Twitter broadcast link of Donald Trump? The Iranian Nuclear Atomic Agency statement has been released. I'm going to read that, and then we'll get to the Trump broadcast. Someone send me an actual link, please. Statement from the Atomic Energy Organization. Following the brutal attacks of the Zionist enemy over the past few days, at dawn today, the country's nuclear sites in Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan were attacked by the enemies of Islamic Iran in a barbaric act that contradicts international law, especially the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. This is true. This action, contrary to international law, was unfortunately carried out in the shadow of indifference and even cooperation of the International Atomic Energy Agency. The American enemy, through cyberspace, has claimed responsibility for the attack on the aforementioned sites, which are under the continuous supervision of the International Atomic Energy Agency, based on the Safeguards Agreement and the NPT Treaty. The international community is expected to condemn the lawlessness based on the rules of the jungle and support Iran in achieving its legitimate rights. The Atomic Energy Organization of Iran assures the great Iranian nation that despite the evil conspiracies of its enemies, with the efforts of thousands of its revolutionary motivated scientists and specialists, it will not allow the development of this national industry, which is the result of the blood of nuclear martyrs, to be stopped. This organization has put the necessary measures, including legal action, on its agenda to defend the rights of the noble Iranian nation. I thought they were going to pull out. This is also a very limited, restrained, legal response that is within the legal confines. So they're not even saying, I don't think Iran's retaliation, maybe I'm wrong, and I hope I'm not wrong on this, but I don't think Iran's retaliation is going to be that crazy. I think unless this is a mistranslation, because it's from Persian, Farsi to English. I don't know. I think basically Iran is going to continue being restrained and diplomatic against the increasingly belligerent enemy, as this increasingly belligerent enemy completely destroys all of its resources, exhausts resources. They're downplaying the impact of the strikes, which there's truth to, right? This is a violation of their sovereignty in spectacular fashion. Having said that, I believe that they reported days ago, almost a week ago, that they had moved the enriched uranium away from the Fordow facility. So I don't I think they're going to be like, oh, this wasn't even that big of a hit. We only got a little boo-boo. And who knows what happens after that. According to the stock guy, Iran is isolated and has no support from others unless Trump attacks Islam religion. Nothing is really significant per his Friday stream. I mean, that's a funny take, but it's not wrong. Iran is a very isolated. It's isolated regionally. It's also clearly not being adequately defended by the larger powers that would normally rush to defend it. I don't think China is going to do anything, and Trump is not on yet. I don't know why you guys are saying he's on. Why is he not on? Why am I not seeing it? Send me the link. Are you guys baiting me? Typical streamer, he's late. Dude, typical streamer. Typical streamer, he's late. He's live on ABC. Oh my God, Brett McGurk is still nutting. Oh my God, they're all, look at this. Look at all the coverage. Every single coverage is like, look at how sick this is, dude. Look at how sick this is. We fucking destroyed them. He's live? No, he's not live. Do you see him?
Thank you very much.
What?
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise.
What
Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat
also
posed by the
subscribe
world's
while you're
number
here
one state sponsor of
to
terror.
the Piker Broadcasting Service.
Tonight I can report to the world
which is
that the
ad-free.
strikes were a spectacular
And you can subscribe for free with a Twitch Prime
success.
by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch
Iran's
account.
key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and
The
totally
Piker Broadcasting Service
obliterated.
is exclusively funded
Iran,
by you, the
bully
viewers,
of the Middle
for you,
East,
the viewers.
must now make peace.
Thank you.
If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far.
Is that good? Did I do
and
good?
Perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
Israel.
Thank you.
First of all, the idea that there's no other military that's capable of doing this is an abject lie. The only difference is we get to do it because we are the dominant power on the planet. It's not a matter of capability. It's a matter of, one, restraint, and it's a matter of, obviously, mutually assured destruction and retaliation that would happen. Okay, like flexing that you could strike Iran is ridiculous. Yeah, of course you can strike Iran. What do you mean? But so can Russia, so can China, and they can do that to us as well. As a matter of fact, the reason why they don't do that is because one, China is always trade maxing and nutting at the prospect of more trade opportunities that can unfold potentially. And Russia's got their hands too busy with Ukraine. Yeah, this is the primary takeaway. Trump says if peace doesn't come quickly, that the U.S. will go after other Iranian targets. Stop this fear-mongering crap. This was much needed. Guy living in a trailer park in Terre Haute, Indiana, fantasizing about how much better the world is because America spent the healthcare money that you will never get on a mass pain on the other side of the planet. You and others like you are exactly the reason why we will never have rebellion in this country. We will never have a revolution in this country. And you will forever exist in a world of anger and resentment and will never understand why you are over all the time and why your living standards never get better. Okay? Biden sent $300 billion to Ukraine and more money to Israel. And do you think I like Biden? You moron. Shut up. You don't understand anything. What is wrong with you? It's not partisan. American foreign policy is uniparty. These people that you think you're on board with, this team that you think is actually doing right by you, is doing the exact same shit that Biden did, but you hate when Biden does it, but you love it when Trump does it? It makes no sense. Neither of these teams give a fuck about you. Wake up. That's my point. Why are you lying and saying all these falsehoods? You're so dishonest. Endless deaths. Continue with your rhetoric, my dude. Trump just went and struck 3 nuclear facilities, violating numerous international human rights and protocols set in place, including the non-proliferation, the nuclear proliferation treaty. And my assessment of those events are what's causing the deaths. A Twitch streamer. Do you hear yourself? I know when you wrote that with your tongue sticking out of the side of your mouth, you were like, I'm about to get him with this. It's a real banger. But the only thing you've done is basically expose how unimaginably stupid you are. Okay, my dude, good job. Open the schools. Open what schools? We're going to open the schools. The schools also suck dick because, sorry, all the money's going to Israel and all the money is going so we can bomb Iran. Slasher says, as we enter the next major world war that will take tens of thousands of lives, I just want to say that I now feel much safer from anti-Semitism, the biggest fear in my life. Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, also remember, literally half the country also is now going, oh, why did he thank Israel? Are we doing this shit for the Jews? Which is, of course, certainly not going to explode anti-Semitism in this country either. The great anti-Semitism destroyer, Donald Trump, running around being like, Shalom, Mahmoud, and like arresting people for saying Israel should stop killing children. He's making it real safe. Anyway, everyone that thinks the world is ending, I do not know what Iran's response is going to be, but judging by what Iran has done, restraint to a fault, as I've said thus far, I don't think it'll be as we'll see. I don't think it'll be as devastating as you think it might be. You clearly don't know much about politics, law. It's true. I don't understand how any of this works. I think whether because Iran simply does not have the capabilities. Oh, yeah. A God bless Israel in a POTUS address to the nation. And technically, their anti-Semitism will be valid based on the fact that Israel supporters claim it's inextricably a Jewish state for Jewish people. Obviously, that is not the case, but that's exactly what Israel wants to be the case. Another example of Israel exacerbating anti-Semitism globally. Oh, yeah. Wait, CNN is reporting that Trump only told the Republican leadership in Congress before the strikes?
Anderson, is the question as to why now? Why did President Trump feel the need to do this, given the fact that his own director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, testified in March, saying that the conclusion of the intelligence community was that Iran had not made the decision to go forward with its nuclear weapons program? Well, The understanding I have is that a lot of Israeli intelligence has contradicted that, especially in the last few months, especially at the Fordo and Ifshahan nuclear sites. And as it was described to me, the Iranians, even in the midst of negotiating, Anderson, even in the midst of negotiating, the Iranians had their pedal to the metal, as it were, in terms of the nuclear enrichment program. And so the feeling was inside the White House, they just could not take that risk. And that's where we are.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot of concern on the speed with which, and also obviously the more recent comments by the IAEA, though the IAEA certainly was not calling for any kind of military intervention. They were calling for diplomacy, but they certainly raised concerns about the speed of the nuclear program, the enrichment of the up to 60%.
Oh my God, shut up. America's so deindustrialized, we don't even manufacture our own consent. That's pretty good. It's true. We had to get Israel to do it for us. Iran has nothing left to negotiate for. Nuclear bombs. Now the whole world knows for a fact that Iran can't develop nukes because it has no nuclear facilities. No, it still has nuclear facilities. It still has enriched uranium. It still has nuclear facilities. And we don't know the extent of the damage in Fordow, which is where they could potentially enrich more. The difference here, however, the difference here, yeah, Tulsi Gabbard was not invited. I know. That was reported on earlier. Tulsi Gabbard has not been invited to any of the fucking Situation Room meetings in the last couple of days, I'm pretty sure. Oh God, he's wearing the fucking lame ass Ronald McDonald ass fucking hat, dude. Oh my God. It's not the point. I know, but God damn, like, we are the fucking lamest goddamn country on the planet, dude. What the fuck? You know what hurts about seeing images like this? It's not just that he did this, okay? That's really fucking lame on its own. You're such a loser. I know. I'm going to get to you in a second. Hold on. That you're actually the point I'm trying to make. It's not that he did this in lame ass bullshit. It's that there are people that you and I exist in the same space as, that look at that and go, hell yeah, he looks so fucking cool. That makes me want to perish, knowing that I am occupying a space with people that are that fucking stupid, that look at this image and go, yeah, that's strong. He's so strong. The very same people that don't understand that all of these actions are consequential for them. All of these actions are actually taking away from the resources that could help them have an easier go at life, fix the fucking potholes, create a robust healthcare infrastructure, fix the goddamn ISPs so we have better broadband internet, you know, free college so they can be educated a little bit better, maybe not constantly feel fear all the goddamn time. They'll never understand it. It's so cooked. It's so lost. Today, Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries released the following statement. Donald Trump promised to bring peace to the Middle East. All right, we read this already. It was fairly limp dick, but...
a lot of concern, obviously, about what Iran is going to do next, and all eyes waiting for that. We'll check back in with you a little bit. Fareed Zakaria also standing by. Fareed, I mean, this is moving...
Jake Tapper just referred to Iran's weapons program as a target of the U.S. attack. Again, there's no nuclear weapons program. U.S. intelligence have affirmed this dozens of times since 2007, having done so again just a few days ago. This is an outright lie, but it doesn't matter. But U.S. intelligence assessments had reached a different conclusion. Not only was Iran, this is from CNN's own reporting, which is also backed by the New York Times' reporting as well. U.S. intelligence assessments had reached a different conclusion. Not only was Iran not actively pursuing a nuclear weapon, it was also up to 3 years away from being able to produce and deliver one to a target of its choosing. And remember, they do not have a delivery mechanism that can reach beyond the point of Eastern Europe. Okay? So the idea that they were going to bomb Western Europe, like they were going to bomb France, they were going to nuke fucking Paris, they were going to nuke New York City, all of that is an abject fucking lie. They do not have this technology. You know who does? You know which religious fundamentalist country that is an ethno-state that's currently a bloodthirsty monster in the region with a fat nuclear stockpile of potentially 400 nuclear warheads with a delivery mechanism capable of reaching every major city around the planet, that country is Israel. It's not Iran, it's Israel. We know that they have this delivery mechanism, and we know that they have the nukes. It's very hush-hush, but, I mean, they admit it from time to time. America knows that they have it. It's not Iran, though. It's fucking Israel. Israel has the nukes and the delivery mechanism to reach the United States of America. You're lying? I'm lying. Liar. Okay. You should Google the Samson Doctrine. Just figure out what that's about. But don't worry. If they were to ever nuke New York City, they could turn around and find a copy of Mein Kampf or something, and then it's valid. You know what I mean? These New Yorkers were reading copies of Mein Kampf, annotated. We found it in the ashes. As someone from Philadelphia, myself, I, Benjamin Netanyahu, did not want to nuke New York City. But once Zoran Mamdani became mayor, I had no other choice but to nuke New York. And then the American leadership would come out and be like, thank you for nuking New York City, Mr. Netanyahu, sir. We will give you the key, the Reddit key that we initially gave to Elon Musk. We're going to give it to you now for nuking. It's the keys to the city. Eric Adams gave it to Diddy last time. New York City was 3 months away under the leadership of Shia Muslim Zoran Mamdani of developing nukes. We had to act fast. God bless Israel.
But many in Congress wanted him to do and said and spoke to that. Fareed, thanks very much. I'm here with Jeremy Diamond, Clarissa Ward. It really is now a question of, I guess, what Iran chooses to do, what Israel continues to choose to do, and it remains to be seen.
I just thought it was so striking. You know, Fareed talked about it as a threat. I mean, essentially, President Trump was saying to Iran and to the Iranian regime and to the Ayatollah, if you want to survive, you take this one on the chin and you come back to the negotiating table. This is your chance now to survive. If you're going to fight, then we're going to have a problem. I mean, he said it's peace or tragedy. That's the choice that's being given. And I think it's worth, just for our viewers who are not poring over the minutiae of geopolitics every second hour of the day, to go through the different sort of proxies that Iran has at its disposal. The nearest one to here, of course, is Hezbollah in Lebanon, significantly weakened and degraded, did not get involved when Israel began its operations against Iran. Do they now feel pressured to do something, to respond in some kind of way? Because, by the way, Iran has been very clear that if the U.S. got involved, every American citizen and every American soldier in this entire region is...
It's crazy. It's like, why won't Iran do peace as we are bombing them? Yeah, I already read it. Like I said, the fact that the Iran Atomic Energy Agency is saying that they're going to pursue legal avenues. The Ayatollah is basically the Democratic Party. Okay, that's it. They're feckless institutionalists holding on to a fantasy that does not exist within the confines of international laws and the international rule-based order. It is not real. Okay, it is not real at all. And these guys think it's real for some reason, and it's a mechanism of survival for them. But what they don't realize is it's either today or it's, you know, maybe a couple months from now or maybe next week. Who knows? But it's coming. They are literally like the Ayatollah is basically the way that the Democrats operate in this country, where they're like fantasizing about a diplomatic outcome that does not exist. It's clear to me that their initial response to this severe violation of their sovereignty, just like their initial tit-for-tat campaign between them and Israel, in the process of a nuclear denuclearization agreement that they were having with the United States of America, has been so limited and so restrained and so focused on maintaining some sort of peaceful solution that even when they are bruising the Iranian public bloody, even when they are destroying Iran, wiping out Iranian sovereignty, his response is, oh, it didn't hurt that bad. That's what they said tonight. They said, oh, we hit our enriched uranium, which is true. They did do that ahead of time. oh, we moved all of our stockpiles elsewhere. We moved all of our civilian nuclear scientists elsewhere. They're hidden. You just gave us a little boo-boo. Who cares? Wait, I want to learn something. Is Iran actually democratic? No. Doing diplomacy as a state actor and being an actual, democratic republic is very different.
It gives us peace. So I want the so-called, I don't know what to call them, people running around, warmonger, the sloganeers. This should be an education for you, too. This should be an education for you, too. America, don't you feel relief? Of course you feel relief. It gives us peace. So I want the so-called, I don't know what to call them, people running around, warmonger, the sloganeers. This should be an education for you, too. This should be an education for you, too. America, don't you feel relief? Of course you feel relief. It gives us peace. So I want the so-called, I don't know what to call them, people running around, warmonger.
Stupid ass Master Shake, Master Levin. Iran is pursuing legal action. That's so funny. We're living in ridiculous times. Okay, like what process? What legal process? First of all, the entire sham of international human rights was directly concocted by a group of vassal states that are utterly servile to American interests. Every European country is sitting around on their hands and knees waiting for Trump's orders, okay? Trump says jump, they say how high. America says do this, they go, oh, please, I would love to do this. Every single thing that you hear from European leadership about how angry they are at America's reasoning, America's actions against them, is all bullshit. It's all bullshit. So the entire international rule-based order that is designed and is supposed to be upheld by these European defenders of liberal democracy is not being upheld. Benjamin Netanyahu flew over French airspace. France is supposed to be one of the only countries in Europe that at least has some aesthetic interest in sovereignty. They got nukes. They don't give a. What do you expect Iran to do? I mean, listen, I don't know, but if I was in this situation, if I was the head of state of a country that is being bruised and battered by a belligerent attack dog for the largest superpower on the planet, okay, I would very quickly cut as many deals as possible with the other big dog. I'd be like, please give me the Dongfeng missiles. I will do anything for you. I have a 25-year energy contract with you. Give me some Dongfeng missiles. I would like to launch some Dongfeng missiles instantly. I would like to launch maximum amounts of Dongfeng missiles is what I would probably do in that situation. International law collapsed in 2003 with the invasion of Iraq. Biden made a mockery of it from 2023 to 2025, and Trump has torn the mask off in 2025. Exactly. Yeah. Dongfeng missiles in the direction of commercial vessels potentially flying above them, mining the Strait of Hormuz, closing it down. Dongfeng missiles in the direction of oil refineries, but that wouldn't happen because that would also hurt China's interest. Also, there's the other side of this as well. China loves trade maxing, as I've said before, and they would hate for a global disruption of any sort against shipping or, God forbid, energy. That means less trade. That means economic collapse, and that means no trade. And they love trading. If they don't trade, they explode. So obviously, they probably would not be on board with that. But it doesn't even need to get to that point. If you don't want America to blow up your nuclear facilities, put some Chinese military in your country. If you don't want America to blow up your nuclear facilities, put some Russian military in your country. It's kind of that simple. There are Russian civilian nuclear sites in Iran. They were not attacked. It would also be weird, of course, for relatives to kill one another when you got Israeli Russian Air Force pilots throwing missiles in the direction of Russian nuclear scientists down on Iranian soil. That would be really up, but they didn't do that. They didn't do that.
Aware of.
Yeah, I think that's a major concern. You're talking about, it's not, the problem is that we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of kilograms of.
Look at this. Look at this. Oh God, I hate Barack Ravid. I talked with President Trump tonight on the phone, and he touted the tremendous success of the military operation. No other military could have done that, he added. 2 days was within 2 weeks, pointing to his comments on making a decision within 2 weeks for operational security. So he just lied. He just like talked about diplomacy, got the European dickheads to talk to Iranian envoys, okay? To talk to Iranian envoys specifically so they could feel like, you know, maybe in 2 weeks we'll do something. Which, by the way, I mean, as I've said before, if a dumb Twitch streamer like myself could figure out that this was happening this weekend, I'm pretty sure the Iranian state is not oblivious. Okay? Just so you know. All this does is show the rest of the world, and maybe the Iranian leadership, that American talks and American ceasefire and American negotiations are meaningless. They just want complete domination. They want death and they want destruction. Let's go back to some more MAGA defending the strikes. Let me ask everyone tonight, after these recent strikes, a country that consistently chants death to America, they got their nose. They're all bots. I swear to God. Bots, all of them. A day before the current war began, the Iranians announced that they had already built and would activate a new uranium enrichment facility separate from its current facilities. Several Iranian officials have also said that they began moving materials from their current sites in March. Unless bombing is accompanied by a new political agreement and inspection regime, it's not really clear the degree to which losing Fordow and Natanz sets back the current nuclear program. The main impediment towards weaponization is that there was no political will. If the Iranian government is still silly enough not to immediately get their hands on nukes, number 3 of the Hasanabi nuclear doctrine, a doctrine for nation building, I don't know what to tell you. Mark Wayne Mullen says we were attacked prior.
Chad talked about the reporter that you visited about earlier, talked about the war powers and how AOC, who really gives a flip what AOC is saying, and some others are talking about impeachment because we should come to Congress first. Underneath Article 2, it has been debated and been put into court multiple times on what exactly the length of war powers have, with the president having to come to Congress before he committed troops. We didn't commit necessarily troops here, but it also goes on to say, according to court rulings, that if we are attacked, the commander-in-chief, not the president of the United States at the time, but now he becomes commander-in-chief, has the authority and the ability to protect Americans home and abroad if we feel threatened or attacked, including our assets. There is no question Iran has threatened us, and there is no question they have attacked us. This is well within the...
What? Hopefully MAGA kids get drafted first? No, that's not how this works. Everybody gets drafted.
The president's authority to be able to do just exactly what he's doing. He's keeping America safe. And by the way, President Trump is the president of peace. He wants peace more than anybody, but at the same time, he believes in peace through strength, and deterrence is the best way to keep peace.
I swear this doctrine has infinite mileage. It's not that complex. My very apolitical friend just said to me, no one from North Korea. Why do you think that is? Yep, there's a clear message for a lot of global South and Middle Eastern countries tonight, sadly, and it isn't a non-proliferation message. Hasanabi nuclear doctrine. Hasanabi doctrine for nation building. Number 1, develop nukes. Number 2, don't give up the nukes. This is for Ukraine, okay? This is for Ukraine. Don't give up the nukes. Number 3, if a Western superpower claims you have nukes or a WMD, drop everything and immediately obtain nukes. Because if you don't do that, they're going to They are going to ask you with a bayonet like they did in Libya to Gaddafi, who did not have nukes, but they said he did. Okay? They're going to assassinate you without any sort of trial whatsoever, like Saddam Hussein. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're a good guy or a bad guy. It doesn't matter. If you're head of state and America says you have nukes, they're coming for you. You have to get nukes immediately. If you don't get nukes, you're... And yeah, I don't know if this Hasanabi doctrine also getting heavily vindicated. If America gets attacked again, we probably deserve it. I mean, I'm not going to say anything. But also, you know, we are doing a lot of shit. I hope it doesn't happen. But, god damn, are we, you know, we are doing our very best. Iran is going to close the Strait of Hormuz? I don't think so. This is CNN's actual program name right now. Why Iran hates America, a Fareed Zakaria special. I don't know. Is he just going to do an accurate assessment of the past 7 to 8 days? Breaking. Israel's attacking southern Lebanon with airstrikes. Israeli raids target the Iqlim al-Tufa region now. Oh, my Lord. Director for Rapid Response for Kamala Harris is blaming Muslim voters for Iran. What? Listen, guys. I'm telling you right now, judging by what Iran has said so far, it feels like they're just going to say, oops, you hit us, but it didn't hurt us that bad, and their retaliation will be fairly limited. This doesn't mean that further war is avoided here, because the appetite for further death and destruction and regime change is coming from our side. Okay? They want stability. We want death and destruction and instability. Make no mistake. I mean, I hope I'm right. Best case, they just say, oh, we ate it. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then they launch a couple missiles at like empty barracks. But then again, this is a severe violation. A severe violation that could be a wake-up call for the Iranian leadership to say, okay, maybe they just don't have any interest in negotiations. Like, maybe they'll understand it. Who knows? And therefore, will actually respond with the most severe response that they could possibly do. And I've already detailed what that would look like: mining the Strait of Hormuz, lobbing ballistic missiles in the direction of every American asset in the region, trying to pull other allies into the conflict to defend Iran. But that is less likely, I think. They have to do this to establish deterrence. If they don't do this, then America is going to do the bombing campaigns again and again and again. And slowly but surely, they're just going to erode the entire leadership structure of Iran. They're going to kill civilians in the process and ultimately turn Iran into a failed state. What is this? Mannan Raisi, the Qom city member of the Iranian parliament. Contrary to the statements of the lying U.S. president, the nuclear facilities forward out were not seriously damaged. Only the above ground structures, which can be restored, were destroyed. In addition, everything that could pose a danger to the population was evacuated in advance. There are no reports of any nuclear emissions. Trump's false claims about the destruction of Fordow are refuted by the fact that the attacks were so superficial that there's not even any fatalities at the facility. But we regard even this U.S. aggression as America's direct entry into the war. Now, Iran will decide how and in what way to respond to the U.S.'s blatant stupidity. Okay, this is exactly what Hakeem Jeffries said about Donald Trump when Donald Trump's administration arrested the staffer of a Democratic representative. Hakeem Jeffries was like, oh, we're going to figure out a way to respond, and it's going to be swift. I'm telling you, Iran, get in on this meme early on, okay? Iran is behaving like the Democrats. Like, this basically corresponds to what I was saying. Trump turns around and says, look, my aggressive military action looked awesome. It is going to make Iran back down because his generals got in his ear and said, this will be just like Qasem Soleimani. This will be just like Qasem Soleimani. They won't do shit. They can't do shit. Now, of course, this still doesn't mean that the goal is accomplished, because the nuke stuff is bullshit. It's not significant. What's actually significant is destabilizing Iran, turning it into a failed state, and then the violence will unfold in spectacular fashion if that were to happen. But I don't know if this will be as severe a response. And the Fox general told them to tell the Iranians don't respond and they will listen because they don't want the smoke. Yeah. Any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Thank you, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. That's what he tweeted out. Anti-war, by the way. You say Iran only wants peace and stability. You clearly have no understanding of Iran's goals. Iran wants to close the Strait of Hormuz, remove the Gulf states, and implement control of the Persian Gulf and all the oil. They have said this repeatedly. Okay, dude. Well, I want Chinese-style democratic centralization, okay? That's what I want. I want high-speed rail. Am I getting it? No. So shut the f up. What Iran wants and what Iran is capable of doing are entirely different things. Also, you just made that shit up anyway. What do you mean? Oh, Iran wants to actually nuke Washington, D.C. Okay, cool. I guess we should listen to that guy. Remember this? I mean, yeah, they're all liars and hypocrites. Tulsi Gabbard, a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for Dick Cheney and is a vote for war. More war, like World War III and nuclear war. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for a man who wants to end wars, not start them. I'm told by experts that the underground tunnel in Isfahan is much harder target than Fordow, and it is not clear whether the Tomahawks were able to destroy it. There is no way they got in that tunnel. It's deeper than Qom and harder rock. Well-placed source tells Fox. International Atomic Energy Agency inspectors reported multiple times that it was used for storage of UF6. UF6 was one of the large precursor materials to make enriched uranium, but that there was no enrichment going on inside that mountain. But it's important that UF6, uranium hexafluoride, be accounted for and eventually removed. Isfahan is where Iran also manufactured centrifuges. Hossein Shariat Madari is reporting the Hormuz will be closed on TV right now. He's a hardline editor of the Tehran-based Kayhan newspaper, appointed by the Supreme Leader Khamenei. Wait, really? If they close the Strait of Hormuz, that's different. What is this? I've said this before. It's easier to topple the regime than to fully dismantle the nuclear program. The reason, much of it is mental capital, knowledge dispersed across thousands of scientists. War can't erase this. Even physically, dismantling Iran's program requires U.S. engagement with certainty of outcome. Without it, America won't risk intervention. Striking Fordow may be symbolic, but it won't ensure finality. Yeah, of course it won't. Like the nuclear program is also built on scientific knowledge, and Iran has exported this expertise to allies across the region. The same applies to his drone program. AIPAC, who funds many Dems, glazes Trump's decision. Of course, AIPAC, Trump's principal decision to dismantle the Iranian nuclear program, which strikes on Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, is profoundly in America's interest. I'm losing my mind. You voted for this? Wait, I did? You think I voted for Donald Trump? What are you, stupid? Yeah, I'm a huge Trump supporter. By the way, vote for any party. You're voting for this, for the record. You're voting for AIPAC either way, big dog. So technically, you're not wrong. Honestly, whichever way you vote in our duopoly, you are still voting for exactly this. It's just whichever flavor of this you want. Do you want the gay version or do you want the homophobic version? Still gay, but homophobically gay. Which version of gay fascism do you want? The openly gay one or the homophobic one? Inside of you are two wolves, okay? Within the American duopoly, there are two wolves. Both of them want to nuke Iran. Hi, I'm waiting for another condemn from our Chinese government. Oh my God. Oh my God. Victor Gao about to go on Sky News and hit the condemn so hard. Dude, I'm telling you, just wait. China's going to write another stern letter talking about the importance of international trade, and everyone is going to be like, look out. These guys are the global hegemon of tomorrow. Look out. Look out. China's coming in. They're going to condemn so hard. Just you wait, baby. You won't be expecting this condemnation. This will be so stern. This will be so stern. China literally, I'm telling you, I talked about this yesterday. China hit the nuclear option on trade one time in this process where they just said, okay, you want to do tariffs? We won't sell you the materials that you need for your defense. We own all of them. We have a monopoly on the refinement process. We basically have a monopoly on the procurement process. We won't give them to you. That was the nuclear option for trade. That's the only time that they ever implemented it, because Donald Trump was like, we're not going to do trade with China. That's it. They will never do it for anything else. God forbid the American suburbs are not awash with labubus. Okay? God forbid China ever take the stage as a global hegemon in the direction of peace and prosperity. Oh my God. No, the only time they would they would hit the nuclear option as long as America says no more labubus, no more shine. You say no more shine or Shein, however you say it, China will come out and be like, this is unacceptable. Nukes are about to fly. Nukes are about to fly unless you restore global trade right now. We have to trade max. Oh.
New chapter, new page. Let's start again. I think realistically, even if this does end up in the long term having a positive impact on some level, this is a new chapter now, and we have no idea what it entails.
And you also have to think about the years and the millions and hundreds of millions of dollars that the Iranian regime spent on this nuclear program. How much they have staked on this program, even just from a domestic politics standpoint. I mean, this is an incredibly embarrassing moment for the Iranian regime to see these 3 sites, according to President Trump at least, destroyed in one fell swoop with these strikes. They are going to need to find a way to save face here. And does that entail these significant attacks that we have been anticipating potentially against U.S. troops in the region? Does it entail significant attacks against Israel, where we are right now? And how do they move forward? And so this is an incredibly volatile moment. As much as we were talking before about the way in which this is, earth-shattering and changing the face of the region potentially, we don't know which direction things are going to go in. And this is a very delicate moment for Israel and also for U.S. troops and civilians in the region as well.
Kylie Atwood is standing by. Kylie, I understand you have new reporting on U.S. diplomats in the region.
Yeah, so what we're learning as you guys are talking about the potential Iran retaliation, we don't know what that will look like or when it will come, but the U.S. Embassy in Iraq and the U.S. consulate in Erbil, both of those are undergoing a pretty dramatic drawdown as we speak. There are flights that are leaving Iraq. Earlier this evening, they were actually halted for some time because there are questions right now about the airspace in this area, as you can imagine, Anderson. But as the United States is drawing down...
Israeli media claiming that Israel will stop the attacks on Iran now. Dude, I'm telling you right now, anything Israel says, assume the opposite. Okay, you're gonna get like a 90% hit rate. Maybe they'll stop. I don't know. Maybe this is the 10% where they're being honest. Okay, but I swear to God, if you were to listen to everything Israel says and take it seriously, like Anderson Cooper, you would be wrong 90% of the time. If you were to unconditionally state that everything Israel says is a lie, you would be wrong 10% of the time. I think I would rather go with the second option. Okay. All they have to do is send bird flu positive people directly to the U.S. and we'd be on our knees. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Oh my God. All they have to do is, maybe that's what the Iranian government is hope is that like they're going to collapse eventually. And by they, I mean me, us, we. So we should just keep doing as much diplomacy. We'll tank the damage to the best of our ability. Any day now, they're going to kill themselves anyway. Is probably their position. Everyone is trying to play the waiting game. Nobody wants to be the hegemon right now because inevitably it's going to end. It's going to end. We can't sustain this. A lot of people have deluded themselves into thinking we can, but we can't sustain this. This is crazy. It's madness.
Israelis traveling, people with dual citizenship traveling through Jordan or traveling through Egypt overland for understandable reasons. I want to bring in General Wesley Clark, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander. General Clark, your thoughts on this operation?
Jason Sakura, shut up. This is a further escalation. This is a further escalation than the Trump administration deciding to unilaterally strike Iran without telling anyone else. Send me the clip. Send me the link right now. Sorry, this is, for all the adults that are watching, this is a totally irrelevant side point.
We don't know about Fordow. Maybe they have. We also, as you all were saying, Anderson, we don't know about where the nuclear materials really are. The Iranians have said they've already taken them out of these sites.
Who might have kissed the girl for the first time ever.
And so forth.
This
so
is
we
big
just
news.
don't know. It is, as Clarissa Ward was saying, a very, very volatile and uncertain time. I just hope that the president will use the momentum and the dominance that he has achieved to really push this regime. I hope we're not going into another argument that we had on Friday with the Europeans of, you won't enrich, yes we will enrich, no you won't, yes we will, because this really isn't about enrichment, is it? It's really about a state that has dedicated the last 40 plus years to the destruction of another state in the region. And this is the chance to really push for a redefinition by Iran of their purpose, whether that's a regime change or just a backing away from what they previously said. But it should go deeper than simply trying to avoid escalation dominance and hope we can restore the situation that we had before. It's about trying to move to, as Clarissa said, a new chapter. And that new chapter needs to be that Iran has given.
I want everyone to remember that Uncle Cy Hirsch was right once again, okay? When the GOAT speaks, we listen. Do you understand? Nobody, and I mean nobody, got it with pinpoint accuracy with the exception of the great, the GOAT, Seymour Hersh, okay? Remember that.
I do hope that we have people working underneath this, talking to lower level people inside Iran and getting their sense of things. And maybe there are people inside Iran who say, enough of this old regime, let's change the direction of Iran now. Save the civilization that we have.
But the Israeli Prime Minister also said that, quote, you suck. On June 13th, he promised that Iran's nuclear capabilities would be destroyed, and he has kept that promise. Speaking to his own citizens, he said that he did this because Iran is an existential threat to Israel's existence. And previously, the Army Chief of Staff had said that this is going to be a prolonged conflict because Israeli intelligence had told them that there was something Iran was doing that was reaching this point of no return.
All right, that's Hamda Zalhoud joining us live from Amman. Thanks so much, Hamda. Let's bring you up to speed. Here's what we know so far.
My cousin has family in Iran. Check messages. Bro, you're Mexican. I know because you said I'm Mexican in the past when you lied to me about your cousin that works at CNN. Okay? Don't stop. What's wrong with you?
Go after other targets. Trump says the objective of the strikes was to destroy Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and to stop any nuclear threat.
Yes, I know Hassan's dump truck. I know my chatters. I'm
Israeli
reverse
Prime Minister
parasocial.
Benjamin Netanyahu has also spoken. He thanked the U.S. for the strikes. Shahram Akbarzadeh is the director of the Middle East Studies Forum at Deakin University in Australia and a senior fellow at the Middle East Council on Global Affairs in Doha. He says the strikes on Iran will not lead the regime change in Tehran that the U.S. and Israel are hoping for.
I guess the most obvious precedent is what the United States did in relation to Iraq. The United States organized a coalition of the willing to topple Saddam Hussein under the false pretense that he was developing weapons of mass destruction. It happened that there were no WMDs in Iraq, that it was all a lie, and the United States plunged Iraq into decades of crisis and anarchy. So I think that's the precedent. And I think that tells us why Netanyahu has been pushing Trump to get engaged, because they knew they couldn't destroy Iran's nuclear facility.
Okay, let's hear from the top Democrat. What did he say 2 weeks ago? Does anyone have the video? Do you guys remember the video? I want to show the video because it doesn't do it justice. Passing the Bolton blunt. Yeah. No, nuking Iran, like blowing up Iran or blowing up another like Muslim country in the region is the American foreign policy version of just one more lane. Just one more lane, bro. Please, bro. Things are going to be so different this time, bro. I swear no traffic congestion, bro. I promise, bro. Please believe me. One more lane. Do not do any sort of public transit. That is woke and gay. Do not do that. One more lane on the highway and we got it. Okay? Just one more. And this is the same principle for American foreign policy. One more regime change. I promise things are going to be so good. I promise things will be different this time. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be fun. You're going to have fun while doing it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Everything is highway. Everything's computer. Everything's regime change. I'm losing my mind. Let's take a look at what Chuck Schumer, the brave opposition leader of the Trump regime, had to say when a couple weeks ago, Trump was talking about potentially doing a side negotiation with Iran in the denuclearization agreement.
When it comes to negotiating with the terrorist government of Iran, Trump's all over the lot. One day he sounds tough, the next day he's backing off. And now, all of a sudden, we find out that Witkoff and Rubio are negotiating a secret side deal with Iran. What kind of bull is this? They're going to sound tough in public and then have a side deal that lets Iran get away with everything? That's outrageous.
Get away with what? Everything. Like what? Have sovereignty? Like, what do you mean?
We need to make that side deal public. Any side deal should be before Congress and, most importantly, the American people. If Taco Trump is already folding, the American public should know about it. No side deals.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, good to know. Director of Iran Project and senior advisor at the International Crisis Group. Iran's response is likely not just limited to military retaliation. NPT withdrawal is quite likely. I don't think so. What the Iranian Atomic Agency said is not the same as this.
Could be reconstituted.
What just happened? Did I just what happened? I hate Twitter so much. It's so busted. Oh, Osita had a great take I saw on the toilet when I was peeing. Donald Trump is an extremely stupid man with very few real policy preferences who has simply done what mainstream conservatives wanted 80 to 90% of the time since he entered politics. They have wanted to bomb Iran. He bombed Iran. Pretty straightforward. The main problem with Donald Trump is that he's a Republican. Except Democrats also want to bomb Iran. Felix is so funny, man. Okay, we have 83,000 people in here. Don't show me Felix tweets. What? No, we've declared Iran does not and will not have nukes. If Iran wants to push this into something else, the response will be again swift and all-encompassing. Dude, your name is Midwest MAGA 2024. Who is this we? This administration's foreign policy decisions are only consequential in the negative direction for someone like you. This is what I don't understand. Americans think, and I'm not going to read Felix's response. Okay, I'm not going to read it because I don't want to get banned because he is on a tear right now, on a generational run. Okay, so I'm not going to read his response. My Jewish friend Felix Biederman, before you say that he is being anti-Semitic for whatever he's saying on there, I didn't even look at the screen. Okay, I didn't even see it. If he said something crazy, I didn't even see it. I didn't endorse it. Okay, now when Americans say the Houthis gonna learn why we don't have health care, I lose my mind because, dude, you are the one who doesn't have health care, and you basically have realized that the reason why you don't have it is because we're bombing another Muslim country. And you think that's good? Make this make sense. Can you live without healthcare, you moron? Like, holding on to this notion that like America is mighty and that's why we don't have healthcare is so stupid. It doesn't make any sense. You should be mad at America, not celebrating the fact that you don't have healthcare and therefore we're gonna bomb Yemen. It really doesn't make sense. Hype train, shout it out. The world is yes. Read last message, no bait. Okay, you got me, but we're from Jalisco. We either look Arab or white as fuck. Also, don't be sussy. You still get away with it. She says you're hot and her friends at UCLA glaze you. They made a PowerPoint. I'm going to lose my mind. You just admitted to lying about everything. And also, I was right. Oh, so you look Arab. Okay, got it. Yeah, Jalisco. If you think about it, draining our resources so we don't have healthcare, Afghanistan kind of cooked way more Americans than we killed Afghans. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was the masterful gambit from Saudi Arabia. They did 9/11, and then we just mysteriously attacked every other country in the region. Okay? Like, and we were like, you're our greatest ally, sir. Thank you for defending Israel, our other greatest ally. What an incredible event for Saudi Arabia. We might give them nukes, by the way. That's the other thing. You just slap America in the face and they say, please, sir, I want some more. Meanwhile, these dumps are running around being like, they're disrespecting us. They're disrespecting us. These other countries, they're disrespecting us. It's like, bro, what is Israel doing? What is Saudi Arabia doing? Okay? You're doing tricks on it. Your politicians that care about you are doing tricks on it. And the reason why they're doing tricks on it being Saudi penis and Israeli penis, is because the military industrial complex machine is demanding that your politicians do tricks on it. God forbid you get a moment of respite from all of this, okay? God forbid. I know. I can't believe I criticized Saudi Arabia and said they were responsible for 9/11. That was very anti-Semitic of me. I know. Anyway, here is notable answer not included in the 60 Minutes broadcast last night was in overtime. Asked which foreign country she considers to be U.S.'s greatest adversary. Here's what Harris says.
Be our greatest adversary.
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power.
Why couldn't we girl boss our way to this one, dude? Are you chatters happy? Are you guys happy? We could have been doing the exact same thing, but with a black Asian woman in charge instead. The outcome would be the same, but think about how woke we would be in the process.
That is one of my highest priorities.
So if you have proof that Iran is building a nuclear weapon, would you take military action?
I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals at this moment.
Which?
All right, someone sent me the Girl Boss Genocide video, the music video. We have to play it. I know one of you has it. Remember this? Oh, this was when I checked out completely from the process. Why is there no audio? What is happening here?
We must also be steadfast in advancing our security and values abroad. As Vice President, I have confronted threats to our security, negotiated with foreign leaders, strengthened our alliances, and engaged with our brave troops overseas. As Commander-in-Chief, I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world, and I will fulfill our sacred obligation to
Someone in the chat said, "Who's this?" Good one.
care for our troops and their families, and I will always honor and never disparage their service and their sacrifice.
Yep. Get ready.
I need to get my kid from school. I pull up, don't see him at all.
America's slay again.
Got laid off by a woman CEO. Oh yeah, it was hashtag. Somewhere the white family in the year.
That was more women drone pilots from Vika's music. Fantastic. Incredible. With the initial D as well. 5,000 people have left since the start. I don't give a shit. we're purging the ranks for all of the naysayers and all of the no fun Andes. The 5,000 people that left since that song started are all the people that are like, I don't want to hear from you that that the outcome would be identical if Kamala Harris was the president. Those are the people that don't want to hear this. Now, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, I'm not saying this to be like, I told you so. That's stupid. The reason why I try to hammer on this point is so that you stay sharp and recognize when your politicians that are not serving your best interest lie to you, or sometimes even don't do the decent thing and lie to you. Okay? Remember that. This is why I say foreign policy is uniparty and something must change. And if we want to actually, if we do care about the issues and we don't just operate off of team sport perspectives, like that one dumb Republican who was like, oh, Biden gave $300 billion to Ukraine. He gave $70 quadrillion to Ukraine, brother. Okay? When they say that, when they're talking about that shit, okay, they are playing the role of a partisan hack for a party that doesn't care about them. But you should be smarter. You should be better than this. We should demand change from our politicians that are responsive to our needs. You should care about the policies, not the party that doesn't even have the dignity to tell you that they care about these things, to tell you that there needs to be an alternative outcome here. The U.S., according to ABC News, the U.S. and Israel had practiced this exact attack against Iranian nuclear facilities in a military exercise about a year ago. A source in Israel with direct knowledge on the matter confirmed to ABC News. I wonder why Brett McGurk has been talking about how this is exactly what we wanted to do. We set the stage to be able to do this over and over again on CNN. Timestamp, here's the exact moment he said, I'm done, to her at the DNC.
With respect to the war in Gaza, President Biden and I are working around the clock because now is the time to get a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done.
I'm out. I'm tapped.
And let me be clear. I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself.
Oh, I'm super out. I'm super out.
Always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7.
Yeah, they wanted to do this so bad that they lost the election. They did not give a. Anyway, God, this time period held such a different vibe. You single issue voters, this all. Yeah, that was after they kicked me out of the DNC. It was like 90, it was the 90%, like you said, Omega Law, Israel, Channel 12. Israel will continue to attack Iran. Source, Israeli Channel 12. Another every Hassan Abi stream ever dropped.
I haven't even blasted off yet, and you're already annoying. Chatters, I'm not going to tell you where this video is from. I'm gatekeeping it. Gaming later. Get in now. What is this? So funny. Now, having said that, however... Oh my god! Anyway. Oh, okay. God forbid America gets their little treats. And what do I always say? Yes, I know, chatter. I will get to it. A world war just broke out and you want to talk about gaming? I'm gonna be right back. I need to piss. Everything's computer. Oh, don't get mad. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Oh my god, maybe you should use this as an educational moment because you're clearly not getting it. Kaya, play! Yeah, maybe he's shocked because he's never seen a well-trained dog before. Oh, they have tickles, baby! I think that's gonna be it for today, guys. Love you.
There's no gaming on any of the average Hassan Abi streams memes. I don't understand why. Because you don't do it on average? All right. That song is stuck in my head. Black Asian prosecutor, a girl boss. Okay. All right, let's continue. Ashtum.
Against a facility in Syria in the not too distant past, using commandos, a very different kind of operation. But there was some suggestion that they did have some capabilities, but certainly they did not have these kind of munitions, which the U.S. is the only power that has them, and also the only planes that could actually carry bombs that are 30,000 pounds, and also multiple ones that we now understand have been used. So certainly there's a lot of relief, I think, by people here that the United States, that President Trump made this decision. Remains to be seen what the follow-on actions are going to be.
That's right. For those of you who don't know, I mean, I love Papa Wolf, okay? Much respect to Papa Wolf, as you guys know, one of my favorites. But he is a former AIPAC employee, former AIPAC spokesperson, Wolf Blitzer. Getting a new AIPAC back war delivered to you by an ex-AIPAC employee just hits different is true. The Wolfman is indeed, for those of you who don't know, used to work for AIPAC. Is this union negotiated overtime you're working right now, sir? Yes. OG AIPAC head. Yeah, exactly. Are you still going to fly to New York? Well, considering that I can't fly to New York any longer because I'm live currently, I will not be in New York tomorrow. Obviously. And what is, Democratic leadership's only complaint seems to be that they weren't let in on it. President Trump took action against Iran tonight in what appears to be a limited contained strike. We are still waiting to understand the extent to which that action has deterred Iran's nuclear threat. Oh my God. The United States must not rush into war with Iran. Unfortunately, guys, Iran doesn't have nukes, okay? Iran doesn't have nukes. What the f are you doing? This is the Committee on Foreign Relations from the Democrats, okay? Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Iran doesn't have nukes. And in spite of the fact that Iran didn't have nukes, you know what Iran was doing? Diplomacy with the United States of America. Did we forget that? That happened not that long ago. It was going on until Israel decided to strike Iran. Hello? I feel like that wasn't that long ago. Why do they keep saying President Trump took action against Iran tonight in what appears to be a limited contained strike? We're still waiting to understand the extent of which that action has deterred Iran's nuclear threat. Iran does not have nukes. You know why Iran does not have nukes? And we know Iran does not have nukes because Barack Obama did something that was the reverse of what Trump is doing right now, where he did diplomacy. Instead of allowing Israel to strike Iran amidst the diplomatic talks, he actually diplomatically made Iran not have nukes, okay? If Iran, as a matter of fact, if Iran had nukes, we would not be striking Iran right now. Israel would not be striking Iran right now. The region perhaps would be more stable. So we know Iran doesn't have nukes because we just bombed them. We flew aircraft from thousands of miles away and we bombed the country, a foreign nation, a sovereign state. We did that in an act of war against a sovereign state. Okay? Diplomacy is not a new kind of bomb. Okay? It's not. People might think that because America only works with bomb and burger. Diplomacy, not a burger. Diplomacy, not a bomb. Okay? It's not. It's a totally separate thing that people do when they communicate with one another, when they use their words and they write stuff on a piece of paper. They sign the piece of paper. They get commitments, assurances, things of that nature. Very different than what's going on right now. One might even say the opposite of what happened. What it did was wrong. Like, it was completely wrong. It was really up. Okay? It was really, really up because I'm going to use very simple terminology here. Diplomacy is how you get no nukes, if that's your goal. Bombing is how you get nukes and anger and resentment and hostility and bombs in return. Okay? Unfortunately, President Trump has not continued the bipartisan tradition of regularly briefing Congress. That's not the problem. On major national security events, that is a problem. That is one problem. That's not the problem. Okay? That is a problem. It's not the problem. The problem is bombing Iran instead of doing diplomacy, which famously, again, I'm going to do this one more time for the liberals that are still remaining. Barack Obama, you guys love him. I don't, but you love him. You love Barack Obama. He's so cool. He's so handsome, right? Remember how old he got in the process? For 8 years, but he was still dropping three-pointers. You know, that Barack Obama, he's cool. He's a black guy. Do you guys remember that? He was the president. He was the first black president. Husband of Michelle Obama, perhaps not for long, but that's a totally separate thing. That guy did the JCPOA, which was the Iran denuclearization agreement. Okay? A framework that stopped Iranian nuclear proliferation dead in its tracks. Okay? It was a process that actually started even before Barack Obama, as far as I understand. He was the one who escalated it. He added sanctions to Iran and then took the sanctions away for the JCPOA. It was very successful, but also it was kind of a nuclear option because we started doing sanctions like crazy after that. But that's besides the point. I don't want to get into that. That's too nitty gritty. That's too in the details. But he did this deal. Not bomb. No bomb. Barack Obama. You guys love Barack Obama. He did no bomb. He did this. Okay? He did this and he did this. A little bit of writing and a little bit of talking, and they were able to do the no nuclear thing. Okay? Did Democrats forget that? What is going on? It is perhaps his signature accomplishment, his signature foreign policy accomplishment. I know Benjamin Netanyahu hated it. Chuck Schumer hated it at the time too. But he did do that, and it was good when he did that. Okay? Unfortunately, President Trump has not continued the bipartisan tradition of regularly briefing Congress. This is a big issue for us. Events that impact Americans around the world. American service members with 40,000 U.S. troops in the Middle East alone are diplomats, their families, and our citizens. That's also not true. He evacuated half of the diplomats and even moved troops from the bases because he was gearing up for the bomb. Anyway, assume more risk with today's developments. President Trump must now de-escalate tensions with Iran and immediately brief Congress. This guy unconstitutionally launches an illegal war on a sovereign nation, and the best you got is, unfortunately, I was not given a heads up about this. It's basically what it is. So you're saying, is President Obama brokered peace in the region? Meanwhile, Trump has done nothing but box a fan in front of a fire. I wouldn't say he brokered peace in the region, but at least with Iran, it was a decent step in the right direction. And I say this as someone who's not a fan of Barack Obama for all of the other non-peace things he did in the region. And also for bringing about the homunculi Tom Homan into the fray and giving him a presidential medal. Tom Homan, you know, Trump's borders are Baron Harkonnen, that Tom Homan. Yeah, that was an Obama era guy. Who are you a fan of? Mao. That's who I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of no contemporary politician, maybe with some exceptions. Some. Warmongers in Tehran. Senator Mitch McConnell. Oh my God, he's still alive. I thought he died. Senator Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, who has emerged as one of the few Republican critics of President Trump's foreign policy decisions, praised his decision to strike Iran, seizing this. Praised his decision to strike Iran. Seizing this opportunity is not an escalation towards war. It is a prudent response to the warmongers in Tehran. Iran would be foolish to misunderstand American resolve. Is Trump a war criminal now since he bombed Iran unprovoked? There has never been an American president that is not a war criminal, especially in the last 60, 70 years. Literally not a single one, including Carter. This you. Last Control-C, Control-V. It's my 25th birthday today. My mom got me a watch. My friends took me out for dinner, but my surprise gift was from our draft letter and a promise for a C8 Corvette. I wanted a hashtag summer glow up, not a hashtag summer blow up. Shut the up. Happy birthday. Be sure to marry your high school sweetheart immediately so she can get pregnant while you're overseas. Good luck, chatter. Godspeed. Jody Core. Respect the real troops. I walked into my living room and saw my Trump voting father watching TikToks about the news of the attack, and he was holding his head in his hands, and he said, he's so stupid. Why? Checking on your Trump family chat. They're going through a tough time. No, they're going through a tough time today. By tomorrow, the new talking points will be downloaded to their fucking brains, and you will be shocked. You will experience whiplash. Protect your neck, because you're going to hear exactly what Trump said tonight repeated back to you, and they're going to say, it's actually awesome that Trump bombed Iran. I was always a fan of it. Okay? The Fell For It Again award only works if these guys actually care about anything. They don't. Hassan is so deluded. Cenk is not going to take this well when MAGA's switching on him. What? There was never a moment where MAGA was with him, okay? I have a buddy who's exactly as how you described. He gives ChatGPT as a response first, and then once Fox News has their talking points, he poorly repeats them. Yes. Everyone does a different version of this. At least you guys are in a relatively safe space where if you are repeating what I'm saying, you know, you're going to be right a lot more than you will be wrong. That's not to say I don't get things wrong. I certainly do. Don't worry, LA is safe from Iran. Following the bombings in Iran, Los Angeles is closely monitoring any threats to public safety. There are no known credible threats at this time. Thank you, Karen Bass. I was very worried. I was very worried about the Jericho 3 missiles being lobbed from Iran with nuclear payload. Oh, wait, I did it again. I said the wrong country. Again, it's another I country. It's Israel. Oops. Open Presents, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. Slip of the tongue once again. Anyway, reminds me of this. She's out here keeping us all to date. Breaking: explosions heard in Tehran. Nothing heard here in Gainesville, VA. We'll keep you informed. Thanks. Open Presence is Iran. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by the Islamic Republic of Iran and the IRGC. Thank you, Iran. The Piker Broadcasting Service is also sponsored by the Joint Iranian-Qatari Natural Gas Project. Natural gas, the cleanest gas, only from Qatar and Iran. The Piker Broadcasting Service is also sponsored by you, the viewers. If you would like to subscribe, you can do so for $6 a month or for free with a Twitch Prime. The glorious nation of Qatar will once again rise up. Go to New York. It's too late. I can't go tonight. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by chatters like you. Doesn't it count as legal because he technically didn't declare war? No. Take a red eye? I can't take a red eye because the red eye that I was supposed to take is taking off shortly. Open Presents, my Qatari envoy. Thank you for the 100 gifted subs. Major cities on high alert following airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Oh my God. If Republicans get fearful in this moment and then realize that the fear that they're experiencing is directly a consequence of Donald Trump's actions tonight. Yeah, I mean, this is what's going to happen. This has already happened. What about Lolo's birthday, or is that not tomorrow? No. You missed Burgles gifting. 102 Burgles. Thank you for the 100 gifted subs. Oh, yeah. Damn, so what happens next? We wait. What happens next is we wait and we see. But like I said, I don't think Iran is going to go nutty mode, but maybe I'm wrong. Yemen might. Yemen's armed forces have declared that any U.S. military involvement in Israel's war against Iran will trigger a direct Yemeni attack on American naval vessels in the Red Sea. The statement frames U.S. support for Israel as a part of a broader Zionist project to dominate the region, which is true. One that aims to strip nations of freedom, independence, and dignity, subjecting them to servitude, humiliation, identity erasure, occupation of their lands, looting of their resources, and the normalization of bloodshed, violation of honor, land, and holy sites. It's really interesting that these guys never say like that they're anti-Semitic and it's like what Jews are doing. But I guess you know, according to some of my naysayers, when they say Zionist, they mean Jew, which is really funny because it's not entirely incorrect, but in the opposite direction because all they know is Israel. What the? This is a battle for the entire Ummah Islamic nation, the spokesman warned. Advisors to Iran's supreme leader calls for missile strikes on U.S. Navy ships and closing the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, yeah. Fox just said facility is deeper and stronger than expected. Yeah, I also told you that as well. But it was not even a given that they would be able to successfully penetrate Fordow anyway, even with the bunker, the MO. What was it called? The MOPs, but what was it? Oh my God, my brain is not working anymore. The GBU-57s, but is also known as the MOP, Massive Ordnance Penetrator. Thank you. Oh, my brain is fried. Okay. It was not a certainty that even the top bombs that they were going to use were going to be able to penetrate. But I don't even think they used
American strikes that
GBU-57s.
targeted 3 different Iranian nuclear facilities. And generally, the response has been incredibly positive. People calling this a historic moment, also saying that it relieves a lot of pressure on Israel so that the Israelis can continue their campaign going after the IRGC officials and nuclear scientists, given the fact that they don't have the same weaponry as the Americans to use these bunker buster bombs and strike deep into the soil beneath Iran to target these facilities. But when we look at broader threats here, the Israelis are also looking at different fronts. Iranian proxies in places like southern Lebanon, where reports today indicate Israeli forces are striking Hezbollah positions over concerns about the possibility of proxy forces getting directly involved in the retaliation. You also have the Houthis in Yemen. You have Hamas and Islamic Jihad, although weakened, inside Gaza and the West Bank. And then you have Iran-backed Iraqi and Syrian Shia militias that also pose a threat to Israeli forces and the Israeli people. And so Israel's looking at this as an opportunity to have the Americans be the leader in addressing the nuclear threat from Iran, while giving Israel the ability to continue operating freely over the skies of Tehran, the Iranian capital, going after IRGC officials, and then, of course, preparing the defense for a possible Iranian ballistic missile attack, as we've seen the past 9 days. Trace?
Yeah, Trey, stand by. Thank you. Great reporting as always. Aaron Cohen, he makes a great point on that. And I think it's kind of fascinating when you talk about the theater and how, for now, I mean, Israel controls the skies, and you control the skies now in modern day warfare. You control the tempo. You control the tone, the tenor, and the tempo.
Israel's got complete forward operational dominance at this point right now. Iran's nuclear capabilities have been completely dismantled. Intelligence operatives are on the ground inside of Iran. There are likely thousands of Iranian dissidents who have been feeding intelligence to Israel over the last 2 decades, who have helped shape.
As far as what the reporting is on the ground. And not only that, but also, like, this didn't... Like, what was the exercise
allow
here?
Israel and the United States and CENTCOM and Israeli intelligence, Amman and Unit 82 to get all their ducks lined up is just a part of doing business in this region for Israel right now. Trace, we're in a fight for our survival. Big paradigm shift coming right now after this hit. Again, Iran will ting us back, but I think that we're going to see continued forward operations. I don't think this pressure is going to stop. But if they step out of line and they start hitting the U.S., I don't think Trump is going to hold back. I think it's going to be showtime. And he'll go even bigger. That's what I believe.
Your seatmate over here is nodding as if she has something to say.
At the bit.
Yeah.
Oh. Listen, we have a concept in Farsi called aberu. It means saving face. I don't think this regime is going to take a peaceful route. I think they would rather die as martyrs.
Okay, this is all bullshit. Part of the reason why I said I think America is going to strike this weekend was because they want to, their air defenses are exhausted. They don't have the capacity to re-up and rearm for their air defenses, at least for the ballistic missiles. Those are incredibly costly. And therefore, they need Iran to strike potentially as a ballistic missile sponge American troop positions, American bases. To be fair, she's a plastic surgeon, so I think she knows a thing or two about saving face. That's a plastic surgeon? That's who's giving commentary? I'm dumb, bro. They're baiting a response for further escalation. No, I think they're just trying to redirect and exhaust Iranian resources away from Tel Aviv, because I think that if they were to continue striking Tel Aviv, they would continue hitting Tel Aviv with greater frequency and greater impact. Bro, they had drones that were able to penetrate the Iron Dome yesterday. It's a wrap at that point. But yes, you're right. Iran also has shorter range missiles that can't reach Israel but can hit U.S. bases, so they don't need to expand their medium range missiles. 40,000 troops stationed across the Middle East. A New York Times graphic based on Congressional Research Service data shows 40,000 troops are deployed across the region. Kuwait hosts the largest concentration with 5 bases housing over 13,500 troops. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, CENTCOM's regional headquarters, holds 10,000 plus troops. Other deployments span Iraq, 2,500 troops, the UAE, Bahrain, Syria, Jordan, Oman, and Djibouti. Graphic by Daniel Wood. These are in close proximity to Iran, in striking distance. She's the right-wing Jubilee lady who was on the Israel-Palestine Jubilee episode. She's a rich plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. She's an Iranian that left after 1979. Oh, classic. Hold on. China intelligence probably knew of this and sent cargo a couple days ago to Turkmenistan. Real or fake? Who knows? Fire at the Fordo on satellite. It's just the Israel Airport Authority announced it was closing the country's airspace to both inbound and outbound flights in the wake of the U.S. attacks on Iranian nuclear sites. I don't understand the fire if they're hitting underground. I think there's like entry structures into the facility that is outside. So I suspect that if you see any fire, it's probably it's from superficial damage. Let's hear what my man Wolf is saying.
Military analyst and retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Cedric Leighton is joining us right now. Colonel, give us your reaction to what has happened. How significant have these U.S. strikes on Iran been?
Well, they've been very significant. This is the first time that we've actually gone after the Iranian facilities.
Dude, they're so excited. Dude, every military dickhead. This guy literally has the head of a cone, by the way. You will never convince me this is a human. This is an alien, okay? Every military dickhead is like salivating. You can see the saliva coming out.
Against the Fordo facility by itself, and then another 60,000 pounds on Natanz. So when you take all that together,
they got old men nutting harder than Lemon Party out here on CNN. Disgraceful. Disgraceful. I've never seen so many old white dudes just nutting on national television. Crazy.
Clear that the goal of what both the U.S. and the Israelis were trying to do is to actually do their best to cripple, at least for a time, the nuclear program that Iran has right now. So this is a significant milestone in the whole issue between the United States and Iran when it comes to the nuclear power and the nuclear weapons aspect of things. And it's also a show of force that the United States has used against the Iranians. And that is something that has not been as overt as this particular operation was.
Colonel, how much capacity does Iran still have right now to make good on its threats to retaliate against the United States for these military strikes?
So that is an open question right now, Wolf. We do know, of course, that Iran continues to have a large number of missiles. The Israelis say that they've destroyed about 50% of Iran's missile launchers, but that still leaves, somewhere between 1,000 to 1,500 potentially missiles that they could use in Iran itself. Now, many of those missiles will not be capable of reaching targets in Israel, but they may be capable of reaching targets along the western shore of the Persian Gulf, and that would mean the potential to strike U.S. military installations in places like Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, or Kuwait, or Bahrain. All of those are possibilities, but I think the U.S. is very carefully looking at those possibilities, and there will probably be some defenses that the U.S. has established already that will make it much harder for the Iranians to go after these particular installations. So it is possible that the Iranians are going to do this, but it's going to be, I think, a long time coming. We can look at more asymmetric threats, as David was mentioning, such as cyber attacks and assassinations and terror attacks as being something that they might try to do. But again, their capacity will be limited in the immediate aftermath of these attacks.
What do you think, Colonel, that this U.S. strike, what do you think it means for Israel's military campaign against Iran going forward?
I think it actually helps, interestingly enough, pave the way for even more Israeli attacks. The Israelis kind of paved the way for the American attacks in some respects because they took out a lot of the Iranian air defenses, a lot of the radars associated with those defensive operations, and that is absolutely significant. The B-2 has always and it was very much a low observable aircraft, as the terminology goes. But the key thing here is that it made it the Israeli actions made it even safer for the U.S. B-2s to go through with their mission, to carry out their mission. The fact that the U.S. took out, at least as far as we can tell, took out these three nuclear sites, that is significant in that it diverts resources from the Iranians potentially and allows the Israelis to continue their operations, not only in the western part of the country, which they've done quite well, but potentially they could extend that even further into the central and even the eastern part of the country if they so choose to do that.
Retired Colonel, Air Force Colonel Cedric Leighton, our CNN military analyst, as usual. Thank you very, very much. And joining us now, CNN senior national security analyst Juliette Kayyem. Juliette is also a Harvard professor and former U.S. Assistant Secretary at the Department of Homeland Security. Juliette, thanks so much for joining us. How much concern should there be about Iranian retaliation? And I'm specifically worried, and I'm sure you are and other U.S. officials are, about the potential of Iran launching domestic U.S. terrorist attacks here in the United States.
I think that the threat has definitely gotten higher, and it's worth having these sort of second-order discussions. Tonight, honestly, was about tactics, and now we have to think about what the strategy will be for the United States as well as Iran. The biggest threats to the United States are more likely than not abroad. Those include the Straits of Hormuz. We have about 50 oil tankers as of tonight trying to get out of there. They are let's just be clear here. They are nervous, and I would anticipate the market is going to respond on gas and oil with gas and oil on Monday. Secondly, you have the homeland security concerns that don't have to be physical. You have cybersecurity concerns in particular, but you also have our troops, U.S. interest, European interest, European countries, and American tourists abroad. We now know that Americans are not even able to get out of Israel, that there was no plans for that. So the fact that we haven't really heard a discussion about sort of what are going to be the protections is worrisome. And finally, we have a Department of Homeland Security created in the wake of 9/11 and the horror that happened here, whose focus has been, as we've been reporting for a couple weeks now, has been on immigration. And so its cybersecurity, its counterterrorism efforts have been either eviscerated or being run by people who don't have a background in the kind of threats that we should be worried now. I know we've had a lot of military analysts on about the potential of success and a transformative nature of what this could be. I'm a little bit less optimistic because one, we don't know the transformative nature of this military attack yet, but I think we have to be eyes wide open about Iran being.
Dude, they moved so quickly. They moved so quickly to like how we have to keep our eyes peeled. We have to keep our eyes peeled. It's over. Like they're gonna do their very best to bring this terror attack home. All this shit, maybe even a false flag to boot, to really kick this into high gear. It's crazy. This is D's Russia won't invade moment. Decade's happening, if you know what I mean. All right, this is the
Sometimes a decade happens in a minute, and sometimes minutes happen in a decade.
This is the decade's happening in weeks right now.
Yeah.
What we're hearing from us.
It's not. I'm all in. I'm all in on nothing ever happens. This shit is done in 4 days. Israel's going to bomb some more nuclear reactor shit. Iran's out of weapons. It's all over.
The country.
Breaking, the U.S. has completed bombing of Iran nuclear sites. Explosion at Fordo.
This is the decade, bro. If your entire worldview is designed around whatever the position I take is the opposite, like taking the opposite position of whatever I say, yeah, you're going to be wrong a lot. You're going to be wrong a lot more than you're right. This is what I mean. I mean, he has been serially wrong on the Israel stuff, and I do legitimately believe that he took the opposite position of me on Israel, and that basically... That bombing is a video from 2024. What do you mean? We have several legislators assassinated like 2 days ago. I feel like it's already old news. What are you talking about? Oh, when December 2024, Israel strikes Syria? No, the clip that he's responding to might be different. But when I was he not responding to what I was saying? If he's responding to what I'm saying, what I was talking about is recent. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
To the recent escalation between Israel and Iran. Our defense editor, Alex Katopoulos, takes a look at American assets in the region.
The United States has significant assets in and around the Gulf region. 5 Air Force expeditionary wings are based in the Gulf, 2 in Kuwait, 1 each in the UAE and Saudi Arabia that include squadrons of F-15 and F-16 fighter jets. The 5th Air Force Expeditionary Wing, based in Qatar, has no offensive capabilities of its own, but provides extensive intelligence and air refueling for Air Force units in the region. The number of air defense sites has grown over the last 18 months, with new ones built in Kuwait and a proposed site for an additional missile defense system in Qatar. The powerful US 5th Fleet is based in Bahrain in the Arabian Gulf, The Carl Vinson Carrier Strike Group has its own air wing and fleet of accompanying ships.
Oh, Sean Hannity and many others are posting a video claiming it's the explosion of Fordow. It's not. It's from Syria in December 2024. Oh, yeah, this is, yeah. Iran said the U.S. said it would be a one-off. Yes. Judging by what, I don't know where this is from, okay? But judging by what Iran has said so far, I don't know. I might be wrong on this. I'm going to keep repeating this over and over again, okay? But judging by what Iran has said so far, saying, oh, America warned us, we've already moved all of our stockpile, and also simultaneously saying that the Iranian Atomic Agency saying that, like, we're going to try the legal route. It feels like it might be a fairly restrained response again, as it has been thus far. Like significantly more limited than what America has done. Okay. They can't talk all the big shit about America being involved and not do anything. They have literally only done that in the past 20 years. That is all they have done. They only respond with incredibly limited retaliation. This is what they did. This is what they quite literally did after Qasem Soleimani. Their response was like meaningless. I think they even like took out a commercial airliner in the process, if I remember correctly. I might be getting my stories mixed up here, but that is what Trump was relying on. That is why I think generals were able to convince him, because they're bloodthirsty. I like that Iran got Bomba. It's terrible government. Iran is run by huge losers. Dude, look at the screen. Like, what do you mean Iran is run by huge losers? Do you think this guy is a beacon of hope and prosperity? Like, what are you talking about? Do you think it's okay to nuke whatever dumb, backwards ass, podunk ass, hick ass town you and your inbred cousins are from because this dipshit runs the country? I don't think so. The fuck kind of loser ass, stupid ass take is this? Trump is a legend. Shut up. Why would Trump ignore the intelligence reports? Because he got $230+ million from pro-Israel groups. Okay, that's it. It's that simple. That's all that matters. Also, because he is ideologically aligned with Israel as well. Like, he likes Israel. He might not like Benjamin Netanyahu all that much, but it doesn't matter. He loves Israel. Maybe not to the same degree as Joe Biden, but he still loves Israel. Do you think Iran is more intellectual than the U.S. right now? Whataboutism so fully? Iran is ran by losers. You think Iran is more intellectual than the U.S. right now? I mean, Iran's government repression of its own citizens aside, yes. Yes, they are more diplomatic than the United States of America to a fault. Yes, 100%, 1,000,000%. What are you talking about? America is literally doing a genocide in Gaza. What the f are you talking about? I know you don't think those are people that are being killed, but yes. Also, what do you mean Iran is more intellectual? Look at how stupid you are. Look at how stupid you are, okay? What do you mean Iran more intellectual? What does that even mean? Like, you can't even craft words. You live in the richest nation on the planet, and you got the most dog shit education. Does that not bother you at all, that you can't understand anything that's going on at any given moment? Does that not actually make you feel a sense of shame, even for a second? Iran has a higher literacy rate than America does. Does that not piss you off even a little bit? Are they more smarter? Are they more smarter than us? Are they intellectual? I don't know anything. I'm mad. I'm glad we're bombing Iran, though. What a great shame this country is. Zoran Mamdani made a statement. Donald Trump ran for president promising to end wars, not start new ones. Today's unconstitutional military action represents a new dark chapter of the endless series of betrayals that now threaten to plunge the world deeper into chaos. In a city as global as ours, the impacts of war are felt deeply here at home. I am thinking of the New Yorkers with loved ones in harm's way. While Donald Trump bears immediate responsibility for this illegal escalation, these actions are the result of a political establishment that would rather spend trillions of dollars on weapons. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's it. Drive it home, dude. Thankfully, he can die happy. I know. I mean, this is literally every politician, by the way. Holden Blood Feast. While Donald Trump bears immediate responsibility for his illegal escalation, these actions are the result of a political establishment that would rather spend trillions of dollars on weapons than lift millions out of poverty, launch endless wars while silencing calls for peace, and fearmonger about outsiders while billionaires hollow out our democracy from within. For Americans middle-aged and younger, this is all we have known. We cannot accept it any longer. My man, god damn, great take. Also, good time to remind everybody that Andrew Cuomo literally is doing pro bono legal work for Israel. That's right. It sounds insane, right? Doesn't that sound insane? Andrew Cuomo, Israel's lawyer. Isn't that weird? I should post that. Hold on. What a spectacular crock of shit that is. I mean, yeah, he is doing tricks on it. He is doing tricks on it. Jesus Christ. I am reposting it with Zoran's statement. Good time to remind everyone that Andrew Cuomo is literally defending Israel in the International Criminal Court. Defending Israel. Americans, when were asked to point to Iran on a map. Like, what? What is that? What is that? There's no landmass there. That's just what. This also, there's a lot of people that pointed how they were trolling. That's just a body of water, dude. What? Oh, wow. What is all this? This is crazy. Oh, Saul. Var da bende tuz. Burada var. Sağ ol anneciğim. Domates yok mu? Oh, thank you. My mom made me, this is kind of like a Balkan breakfast, or what they call a Balkan breakfast on TikTok. It's also a Turkish breakfast. We got pide, okay? And then beyaz peynir, which is white cheese, or also known as feta cheese, cucumbers, some peppers, some tomatoes, and olive oil in the middle. Oh, yeah. It's bomb.
This afternoon. That was a planned trip back. He'd spent the day at his golf course in New Jersey, but we knew he was coming back to the White House for a briefing in the Situation Room at 6 p.m. This evening. But at that stage, of course, we did not know that that would be a briefing at which he would have already authorized the strikes and he would watch them unfold. So there, the president on the left, in front of him in the yellow is Susie Wiles, his chief of staff. General Raisin Kane is there, the chair of the Joint Chiefs, the top general there. And I think behind him is the vice president, J.D. Vance, who was alongside the president as he addressed the nation a short while ago. So images that will now be will form part of the first draft of history. As always, there is J.D. Vance alongside the president. That there, the image, I imagine the president, the face that the president wants to be portrayed with right around the world now. Peace through strength is what he says this is. An extraordinarily audacious, decisive strike, a strike which he says has completely and totally obliterated Iran's three main nuclear sites. We do not yet have clarity on just how successful, independent clarity on how successful those strikes have been. On one end of the scale, as you would expect, Iranian state television saying that the damage is minimal. Trump saying precisely the opposite. As the sun rises in Tehran, the satellite images will become available over the course of time, and they will give some clarity over just how successful this strike has been. An extraordinary night, and certainly from where we were 24 hours ago, where Donald Trump was saying he would allow for another couple of weeks of diplomacy. He changed his mind, and we saw the result of that this evening.
Well, reacting to the strikes, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked President Trump. Here's what he had to say in a post on X.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America.
The world's most dangerous regime is Israel.
And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
Earlier, Yalda also spoke to our Middle East correspondent, Alistair Bunkle, in Jerusalem.
There is a warning from Donald Trump. The Americans, of course, will be expecting and will have priced in a form of Iranian retaliation. It is what form that comes in that will be key to how this moves forward. I think that the Iranians will feel compelled to respond. There will be different voices in the Supreme Leader's ear, some urging a major response. I think the Revolutionary Guard will want to hit back hard, others urging some caution. We'll see whether the Iranians take their time or whether they retaliate quickly. Retaliation in and of itself is not necessarily the strongest move for Iran. I think the analysis in the hours ahead will be that however successful the US strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities have been, it's unlikely that they have entirely eliminated Iran's nuclear program. Iran has been developing a nuclear program for many, many, many years, and I don't think they will stop now. And it might be their ultimate calculation that they still have something left to develop. And rather than engaging a massive war, drawing in the Americans and perhaps threatening the survival of the Iranian regime, actually the strongest thing they can do is to some extent, take this hit, but retain some of their power in order to
or just keep striking Israel and harder.
Israel will be waking up to this news. The Iranians will be waking up to this news, and no doubt this region will be on edge. Already the Israeli military has said all schools will be shut and all non-essential work and movement needs to be kept at a minimum at this point in time.
Israelis will be waking up now to this news because they haven't been woken up overnight, either by preemptive alarms from the Home Command in anticipation of an Iranian attack, or because of sirens going off because there is an incoming ballistic missile attack. Pretty unusual. This will, well, I think we can now say, now it's first light, has been the first night in 8 days that has been an unbroken night. Now, again, we shouldn't read too much into that. Iran, even by the IDF's estimation, still retain quite a considerable ballistic missile threat, and we would expect them to use it at some point over the coming hours. It's Sunday here, the first day of the working week, but again, it's going to be a very muted day as people stay at home, businesses remain shut, schools remain closed, and everybody waits to see what happens next.
You are watching Sky News. Stay with us. Coming up, the US strikes nuclear facilities in Iran. We assess and analyse what action Tehran could take.
That have changed. However, Iran will, over time, it is expected, reconstitute a minimal amount of its threat and figure out how to use it. And that's what the region is bracing for.
No question. Listen, when you look at what we used to call the Ring of Fire around Israel, the damage to that Ring of Fire, Iran's points of leverage, Hezbollah depleted, Hamas depleted, certainly at enormous human cost in Gaza, and now Iranian resources at least depleted, and the damage assessments that will be coming in the next hours and days will show to what degree. Nick Robertson, thanks so much. I know we're going to come back to you soon there in Tel Aviv. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is praising.
Dude, remember, all of the people that were complaining about like every militant faction against Israel in the region, every militant faction in the region, there's a reason why those guys will turn around and say like, oh, I think Israel's doing genocide, but also like no one should resist against it. Everyone that resists against it is like they're scary terrorists. Yeah, no shit, dude. Of course you think that way because you're pro-Israel. Like how do you think all of this is unfolded in the ways that it has? Like, we are the terrorists. Israel is the terrorist. It's so crazy.
For full assessments of the damage, but with the U.S. strikes tonight and Israeli strikes over the course of the last several days, are we seeing the end of Iran's nuclear program?
We have to wait for the BDA, Battle Damage Assessment, from satellites and from other sources. But I think that we destroy Israel about 70%, and what the US have done is another 20%, 20 very important percent that Israel can't do, the Fordo site. But remember, there are in the hands of the Iranians about hundreds of enriched uranium in a high level, and this is very difficult to find and to destroy. But after saying that, the weaponization process is now going to be very long, because most of the scientists were targeted, and most of the sites and the capabilities to weaponize this enriched uranium are now almost close to zero.
As you know, successive U.S. presidents have refused to go this far, to take this step. And until a few days ago, it seemed that this president was at least reluctant to bring the U.S. to strike Iranian nuclear sites. What do you believe got President Trump over that hump? What do you believe led him to make this decision? And was part of it driven by Israeli success over the course of the last several days?
Oh my God, he set that question up to glaze Israel. Oh my God.
That Iran is not 10 feet high. For years, the American expert, analysts, military generals thought that attacking Iran will bring World War III, or at least a regional war.
The literal reason why he asked that question, which is the dumbest question of all time, is like, oh, it seems like Trump was restrained. He wasn't. It's crazy that he's asking that question to get praise for Israel's bravery by striking first and getting America on board. Schumer, a longtime Iran hawk, comes out against Trump's strikes, accusing POTUS of erratic threats and no strategy. Today, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer released the following statement after President Trump announced, oh, damn, I guess Chuck was the taco boy after all. Thanks, Chuck. Just kidding. He's just mad that he wasn't invited to the war room. Like, look at this. No president should be allowed to unilaterally march this nation into something as consequential as war with erratic threats and no strategy. He's literally saying, let me in on the strategy. I've been meaning to bomb. I've been meaning to bomb Iran in perpetuity. Why the wouldn't you just let me in? It's crazy that you wouldn't let me get a taste. You wouldn't let me get a nut. What am I, Tulsi Gabbard? I yelled at Barack Obama when he did the Iran denuclearization agreement. How dare you let me out of the war room? Because, like, here, before chatters say, Hassan, you're being too harsh on them, what do you expect them to say? These people are professional speakers. Okay? If your argument is Trump shouldn't be bombing Iran, then in that same argument, you can't be like, Iran is a ruthless campaign of terror, nuclear ambitions, and regional aggression demands. Like, you can't be like, Iran is doing a ruthless campaign of terror and has nuclear ambitions, and we shouldn't do anything about it. Okay? You can't let it, because, like, that's not the point you're making. The point you're making is that there's a right way to do this, which is bombing Iran, but by also asking me to bomb Iran. And there's a wrong way to do this, which is bombing Iran, but not asking me. It's so crazy because earlier today, I literally said, I'm going to do a Saturday fun day if America doesn't bomb Iran. And then America ended up bombing Iran. I should have known better. Trump is a no gaming Andy. I jinxed it. Trump is a politics only watcher, chat. Anyway, it's been 5 months and 2 days since Trump was elected. So much fun. Yeah, he's done a lot. Iran foreign minister has a new statement. I'm going to be live tomorrow, by the way. Obviously, as always, from the same place, same time. The United States, a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, has committed a grave violation of the UN Charter, international law, and the NPT by attacking Iran's peaceful nuclear installations. The events this morning are outrageous and will have everlasting consequences. Every and each member of the UN must be alarmed over this extremely dangerous, lawless criminal behavior. In accordance with the UN Charter and its provisions allowing a legitimate response in self-defense, Iran reserves all the options to defend its sovereignty, interests, and people. It's just, yeah, I'm reserving my I'm going to reassert my decision one last time, which is that I suspect that the response from Iran will be fairly limited. I don't know if it'll come while I'm offline. There's a likelihood that that might be the case. That is usually how it works, but we shall see. But I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.